Welcome, all my fellow Washington brethren and sistren. I am your man and president, Washington football team fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Washington Football Report. I'm going to get right to the elephant in the room because it's something that I think most of us, I can't say all of us with 100% certainty, but most of us don't really give a shit because this ship has sailed. The only reason I cared about anything regarding Daniel Snyder and the investigation was because there was an outside chance that it was going to force him to sell the team. Once I saw how they were handling this investigation from the very beginning, I'm talking about from the jump. I told you guys when the article came out, and that was the first time we thought maybe we could get rid of his ass. And the article came out. I told you guys immediately thereafter, literally, I read the article and I came on live that night and I said, guys, that's not enough. He's not going anywhere. Sorry. For those of you getting your hopes up, he's not going anywhere. And this investigation from the jump smelt fishy. Okay? Investigation. We have to start putting that in air quotes. Investigation. Smelt fishy. And I told you guys as much from the word go when the NFL told Washington, hey, you handle this. And then Washington said, okay, we'll handle this. We'll hire our own investigators to do the digging and find out what's going on and have them report back to me being Daniel Snyder. I said, well, shit, if the NFL is going to tell Washington they can handle the investigation, that pretty much tells you they're taking a laissez-faire approach. Hands off, you guys take care of this. Almost like the NCAA with teams. Hey, don't make us get involved because if we get involved, we slapping hoes around and shit. Take care of this. And usually teams will sanction themselves because they don't want the NCAA sniffing around in their business because they know it's a lot more dirt in there where that came from. And if they let the NCAA in, shit could get really ugly fast. So they handle it themselves and they take away some scholarships. And they say, hey, we're going to ban ourselves from the bowl game this year and maybe next year, and that's that. Washington was told, handle the investigation. And then when there was public backlash for the league saying, hey, you handle the investigation, then Washington turns around and says, hey, we're going to let the league take over. I think it's in the best interest of everybody if the league take over this investigation. Which is what the league told Washington to say after the league got pushback from the over 40 women that stepped up, and over 40 people, I should say, wasn't all women, that stepped up and said, this is bullshit. You can't do that. And so the league felt pressure and they told Washington, hey, publicly address this by telling everyone, you're going to turn this investigation back over to us, which is what should have happened in the first place. That's when I knew, well, this is not a real investigation. You're going to give the team that's in question the opportunity to hire the people that's actually going to do the investigation. Right. And this is going to be a real investigation. Absolutely. Got it. So when it comes out that there is no report, which there clearly was a report. Okay. The junkies had it. That's why the league, they never actually denied the reports and what was founded in it. They just said, we haven't received that yet. The junkies had it. They told us what Beth Wilkinson's recommendation was for the team, for the league. The recommendation was for Daniel Snyder to sell the organization. That was her recommendation. The NFL wanted no parts of that. As a matter of fact, they took that however long report that she wrote and recommendations included, they burned that, threw that right in the fireplace. And they said she gave us an oral breakdown of what should be done. Right. So what did the junkies have? Some made up report with specific recommendations inside? No, I trust that the junkies had a legitimate report that stated Daniel Snyder should be forced to sell. That's her recommendation. However, the league not only disregarded that, buried it, burned it, whatever you want to call it, they then took it a step further and went ahead and gave Daniel Snyder, the very man that Beth Wilkinson in her report stated should be forced to sell the organization. They then doubled down and gave that man like $850 million or whatever the hell the number was. Okay? We won't get into specifics. It's more money than they are supposed to be able to give him by rule. Okay? In their bylaws, it's more money than they're supposed to be able to give an owner, front him, to be able to purchase the remaining percentage of the team. So they exceeded that amount, gave that to him so that he could purchase the remaining shares of the organization so he could be the sole owner of the Washington football team. If that's not collusion, if that's not cover up, I don't know what is. But we saw this coming a mile away. I told you this wasn't going to. And honestly, I really don't care. I'm just taking all of this in because people seemed outraged. They seemed surprised. You know, some of the people involved seemed surprised. And I'm like, come on now. You guys saw this a mile away. It felt like I was stealing signs. I took a peek back at the catcher. All right. I got teammates in the dugout tapping the trash can once for a fastball, coughing twice for an off-speed breaking ball. I know what's coming. Everybody knew what was coming. I just got to sit back and not miss. Honestly, if truth be told, the reason I'm not dressed in all black like the Omen tonight is because I was terrified that they would still find a way to screw us and take draft picks away. When I saw that the punishment was only, because look, Daniel Snyder wasn't going to be forced to sell. We already knew that. That ship sailed in March. That ship sailed a long time ago. That ship sailed, when did this investigation get underway? September? It was right around the start of the season, I think. September, October. Whenever the investigation first got underway, the ship sailed, okay? When the league told Washington to handle this investigation, they're going to allow Washington to handle this internally and do their own investigation. That's when the ship sailed, whenever that was, September, October. I was still fearful that they would say, all right, here's your punishment. X amount of dollar fine. We're going to dock you some draft picks. I was like, look, don't hurt the fans. You know, we're the losers in all of this if you take draft picks away. Don't hurt us. We didn't do anything wrong. You want to hurt Daniel Snyder? Slap a fine on his ass and let's keep it. You can suspend him. What does that even mean? Like, I've heard people outraged. Is he going to be suspended? For what? For what? What does that even mean as an owner? What, is he going to watch the game from his private yacht in Greece? Who gives a shit if he's suspended? It doesn't make a difference. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard when owners get suspended. Okay, so they can't watch the game from their private box. Ooh. Who gives a shit if he's suspended or not? So that really didn't make one bit of difference. But the league did. They did make a change, which is why, look, all this shit was done in phases. Everything they did, it was like a rollout. It was almost like an album release. And they're marketing all of this stuff. This felt like a rollout by Washington and the NFL. Do you find it coincidental that just 2 days ago, Washington names Tanya Snyder the CEO of the organization? She's the new CEO. She gets this title. There's an article in the Wall Street Journal. Daniel Snyder doesn't talk to anybody. He gives the Wall Street Journal this exclusive interview. You don't think all of these things line up with the timeline of them rolling out this final, resolution to this investigation that's been going on for almost a year? You don't think it's coincidental that this recluse of an owner does a whole Wall Street Journal exclusive where he names Tanya Snyder the CEO, and then 2 days later, they're saying that he's going to be handling things off the field, such as the stadium, and she's going to be handling the day-to-day operations. You don't find that a little bit coincidental? Anyway, I digress. They didn't hit us with any draft picks. They fined Daniel Snyder $10 million. As far as I'm concerned, I could give a shit. As long as we didn't get docked any draft picks, I say play on, okay? And for those of you out there that were hurt by the organization and you put your neck out on the line and you told your story at some risk involved in doing so, maybe you signed a confidentiality agreement, an NDA, and you had to break that to break your silence. Whatever the case may be, there was backlash. People are sending you death threats because there are crazy people out there. Whatever the case may be, I apologize to you people out there that were affected by this organization and you had a story to tell. And there may have been some PTSD or some trauma that you have endured since. I apologize. And the outcome you were looking for, you weren't going to get it. And you should have known that. And again, I sincerely apologize. Not that it matters, but I'll apologize on behalf of the organization. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep it $150 with you. As long as they didn't dock us any draft picks, Daniel Snyder wasn't going to be ousted as owner. Hell, they doubled down on him and gave him the money to buy the rest of the organization. He wasn't going anywhere. You know, there were still people holding out this shred of hope. Well, maybe they want him to get the entire organization so he can sell it as a whole entity. No, that's not why they did it, okay? It's a good old boys club. They're not kicking one of their own out unless there's a smoking gun. There better be a gun and bullets. They better have ballistics. They better have absolute 100% proof that he was involved in something that they cannot have in their league, like Jerry Richardson. If it's not one of those situations where there's gun, there's evidence, and they've collected all of it, and you're guilty, they're not going to get rid of one of their own. So, we didn't get docked any draft picks. As far as I'm concerned, I'm done. I feel good. We got away unscathed as a fan base. It may not have been the outcome, and people are killing this oral report. Come on, guys. You knew what this was. You knew this was a grade A top choice, 100% cover-up from the jump. So why are you even surprised about any of this stuff? Anyway, first of all, I'll just say this last thing. For those that are outraged by the lack of a report, the fact that the NFL at the very beginning said, we're going to let the Washington football team handle this internally. They're going to handle this investigation. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works, okay? And you know that. You're smart enough. You know that that's not how this works. When Ray Rice had an issue, the Ravens tried to handle it internally. The video got out, and then the NFL said, hey, we got it from here, okay? There's nothing you can do. We told you to handle this shit. You didn't get rid of the video. You didn't handle it. We're going to take over from here. 93 pages later, there's this dossier and there's this big report, and they said this is the punishment. This is our findings and this is the punishment. Deflategate, they didn't even find anything. You think they told the Patriots, you handle this? No, they said, hey, no, we got this. They hired Ted Wells, and he wrote a 200 and some odd page manifesto. All to say that, hey, we didn't find shit. And they still suspended Tom Brady. But those are players. They're pawns, okay? You can sacrifice pawns. We're talking about an owner here, man. We talking about a damn knight. We're not talking about a pawn. We're talking about a king. They ain't sacrificing a king, man. You crazy? There is no report here. There's nothing to see. Move on. I digress. How y'all doing tonight, man? I'm sorry for starting off the show on such a serious tone. I just had to get that out of the way because, I don't like talking about this shit. If this is a road that leads to nowhere, if we're not getting rid of Daniel Snyder, then what's the point of having this discussion? We're talking in circles. We talked about the same shit 10 million times. Why? Let's just move on to something else. That's how I feel. You know how I feel. So We didn't get docked any draft picks. I'm done. Hands are clean. They're washed. Let's go. So at some point tonight, I've got 5 pre-camp declarations that I'm going to make. Now, let me warn you about these 5 pre-camp declarations. They're subject to change. Absolutely. That's why they're pre-camp declarations. Because once camp gets underway and we start watching these preseason games, some of these declarations may go in the garbage. Along with that, Beth Wilkinson report may go in the fireplace and burn up into ashes. And I may come back and tell you that was wrong. Here's what's going to happen. But pre-camp, I got 5 things that I think are going to happen. And I want to know what says you. What are some of your declarations pre-camp? We'll get into that a little bit later. I do want to also address this real quick. I heard the phrase club attached to this team far too many times over the last 6 hours or so. You know, those 2 attorneys that were talking about this whole ordeal, they used the phrase club. Daniel Snyder, in his statement that he released, he said club as well. Now, he did come back later on and say Washington football team, but he said club as well. I don't know what that means. What the f is a club, first of all? Okay. Again, I can't stress this enough. We're not a fucking soccer team. Okay. We're not a soccer team. We don't live in Britain. Okay. This isn't Brazil. This is the good old soil of the U.S. of A. There will be no clubs in this league. So, hell, if we're the football team, then fine, we're the football effing team. We will be no football club, however. And I know some of those people out there that like the chicness and the sleekness of club. It sounds different. F that. You want club? Take your ass to the soccer field. Anyway, I digress. So, got some super chats. Let's get to those real quick. And we will get on with the show. So, we start tonight's festivities with my guy, Sonny Rawson. Thank you for the super chat. Sonny, greatly appreciate you. My guy, Sonny, thank you for your generosity. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, hey, Lou. What up, Sonny? Gonna be late. Figured I'd hop in while I can. This Rams check deal. I'm worried Scherff is looking over at it like, hey, where's my bread at? Though he's a guard, do you expect him wanting close to around that $19.8 million deal that Ryan Ramczyk just signed? Now, as you mentioned, a big part of that is Ramczyk is a tackle. Albeit a right tackle, it really doesn't matter at this point in the NFL anymore, not like it used to. There used to be a clear distinction between left and right tackle. Not that much anymore. It's not really that is not really the case, no longer the case in the league. Your left tackle and your right tackle has to be just as good as your left tackle, if not better, because I'll just take my best pass rusher and put him against your right tackle if he stinks. So at the end of the day, it's still a tackle, but guards are getting paid some really good money, man. They're getting broken off. We've talked about these deals going up and up and up. Every deal is unique, and it's in a vacuum, so to speak. Trust me, agents are looking at the last guy's deal and saying, hey, my client's better than this guy, and then they're going to use stats to support that, whether it be Brandon Scherff's an all-pro. You know, the guy that has the highest deal in the league right now, he's never been an all-pro. So my guy needs to be paid and compensated as such. They use those types of tactics. And the team does it as well. These teams in the league, they do the same thing. You know, they use stats against, you know, that agent's client. Like, hey, look, your guy's never been to a Pro Bowl. Your guy's never had 1,000 yards receiving. Like, let's not talk crazy. The guy that you're trying to get compensated like is a 2-time Pro Bowler, and he's coming off of back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Your guy isn't even close to that. So let's not talk crazy. Your guy is more along the lines of this guy over here who's making XYZ amount of dollars per year. Let's talk in that term, okay, in those terms. So, in terms of Brandon Scherff, there are guards that are getting broken off. And we've seen guards inching ever so close to $90 million. Like I said, Zach Martin's deal with Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, was 5 years, like 84 or 87, somewhere in that general vicinity. Like, they're getting close to $90 million. But here's the thing on Brandon Scherff. He played for $15 million last year on the tag. He's playing for $18 million on the tag this year. So if I'm Brandon Scherff, am I going to take a deal for $14 million next year when I just played for 15 and 18 respectively? Probably not. Not with the cap going up. More likely than not, the cap's going to increase to like $208 million, which is up a full almost $30 million, 27 to be precise. $27 million up from a year ago when it was down to like 181. So if the cap is elevating, you got all this TV money coming in the next year or two, you can afford to pay me $19 million per year. Now, it doesn't have to be a 5-year deal if you don't want it to be, or you can make it as long as you want. You see teams making deals, 7, 8 years, the last 3, 4 years avoidable. They're in their imaginary years to spread the money out to make it make sense for the cap for this year. But at the end of the day, is Brandon Scherff going to take a 4-year, let's call it a 4-year, $60 million deal? No. That's $15 million per? No. He's not. That's not going to be enough to get Brandon Scherff to sign on the dotted line. It'd have to be 4 years, $80 million. It'd have to be something like that. $20 million per year. For us. Now, he may go somewhere else and not get that kind of bread. And we see it all the time. A guy thinks, it happened with Le'Veon Bell. Great example. He thought he was worth more. The Steelers offered him a deal that was very lucrative. He scoffed at it, said that's not enough money. They said, fine. Go out there and find your money then. They franchise tagged him. He refused to sign it. He refused to play. They ultimately moved on from him. He goes to the Jets. He gets less money than he would have gotten had he signed the deal with the Steelers. It happens all the time. Guys think they can find better out there. If I'm Washington, I'm going to take a hard line stance and approach with Brandon Scherff. I'm going to have a specific, and obviously the upcoming season is going to have a huge say in how they feel about Scherff moving forward. They're not going to totally change their mind on Scherff, but if Scherff plays 6 games and then, something, I'm not going to say it, but something catastrophic happens and he can't play the remainder of the season, he misses 11 games, well, then that's going to change their mind on how they feel about Brandon Scherff and how they feel about paying him and bringing him back. But if he goes out and he plays in 15 or 16 out of the 17 regular season games, and let's say we make it to the postseason and he plays in both of those games because we win a playoff game this year, and he's a huge part of the offensive line, that's going to go a long way in them saying, hey, this is exactly why we franchise tag this guy. We want him back. Even if that's the case, even if he plays every game, every snap of every game this season, I would still have a specific year and amount of dollars that I would be willing to pay Brandon Scherff. And if he exceeds that, he'll have to get paid elsewhere. That's how I would play the Brandon Scherff. Because in my mind, if I'm Rob Rodgers, which is our new capologist essentially, there's a certain amount of money I'm willing to allot to a guard in Brandon Scherff. The reason we can do some, different things with our money right now is because A, we don't have a franchise quarterback that we're paying, 13, 14% of our cap to. B, we don't have a franchise left tackle. We don't even have one in sight. We didn't draft a guy that we think is going to be a franchise left tackle, and we know we got to put some money aside to sign that guy. So we don't have money tied up in traditional positions, okay? we're going to have our money tied up more likely than not on the defensive line. So you can afford to spend on the defensive line. You can afford to spend on a guard potentially because you don't have to pay a quarterback right now. You don't have to pay a left tackle. We've already paid 2 corners and we didn't break the bank for either one of them. So we're in a position where we can spend on a guard if we want to, but why? Why? They're showing you that they can spend on a guard. They just gave him 15 2 years ago. They're giving him, or 15, last year, and they're giving him 18 this year. So they're telling you, hey, we got the bread. It's not a problem. in a reduced cap season, we got the bread to give up $18 million to a guard. That's nothing. That's throwaway money. We still got another 20 that we sitting on that we not even spending right now. Like, we good. We not hurting for money right now. But that shit can change like that. And that's why I say, just because you got it don't mean you got to spend it. You know how the rich stay rich? They cheap as hell. They frugal as a mother effer. Rich people are the cheapest. No. Let me rephrase that. Wealthy people are the cheapest. Rich people, a lot of them at least, they like to spend lavishly. That's why they're not wealthy. They're rich. They got a lot of money. The wealthy stay wealthy because they don't like to spend a ton of money. They like making money. They don't like to spend it. That's why they evade taxes and a lot of these, like, dude, you got all this money. Why you ain't paying your taxes? Because I didn't want to pay that much money. Just because we got it doesn't mean we have to spend it. A wise man once told me that money's burning a hole in your pocket, isn't it? That money's burning a hole in your pocket. You know you don't have to spend it because you got it, right? You can save that money. We don't have to spend on Brandon Scherff just because we got it. Save that money. You'll need it for Daron Payne. You'll need it for Jonathan Allen. You'll need it for Chase Young and Montez Sweat and Cole Holcomb and Terry McLaurin. Save that money. You'll need it. Trust me. That's why you traded for an Eric Flowers. That's why you have a Sadiq Charles. That's why you drafted a Samuel Cosme. You got enough stuff to reload on that offensive line. You don't have to invest $17, $18 million per year on annual on Brandon Scherff. As much as I love Scherff, I want him here. He's done nothing but be a consummate professional. He's played through injury, and when he's on the field, he's been dominant for 95% of that time. That said, you don't have to pay that specific position unless you're Quentin. Again, I'd pay for Quentin Nelson. Brandon Scherff, as good as he is, he's not Q-Dog. He's not. Okay? There's only one Quentin Nelson in the league. There are a lot of good guards in the league right now. Quentin Nelson is great. So, I said all of that to say this. The Rams check deal has no impact on Brandon Scherff. They don't play the same position. He's not looking at Rams check and saying, damn, he just got $19.8 million. I need 20. If he were a right tackle, then he may be saying that. But he's a right guard. So, I don't think that had too much impact on him. I can tell you this. What had more impact on Scherff is the fact that last year he got $15 million to play for 1 year. This year he got $18 million to play for 1 year. If I'm playing next year and the year after that and the year after that, I know I don't want to go back to making $13 million or $14 million. Hell, I don't even want to go down to $15 million. So I just don't see Brandon Scherff taking a modest deal. And always remember, all it takes is one. Just takes one team to say, hey, we'll pay you that money, Brandon. I just don't want it to be us. Now, if Brandon's like, yo, I already milked y'all for $33 million over the last 2 years. I ain't going to bust y'all over the head on this long-term deal. I just want a 3-year, $55 million deal. Okay. I can deal with that. It's a shade over 18. It's a lot of money. But I can do it. It's just 3 years. All the contracts will run out right around the same time. William Jackson signed a 3-year deal. Curtis Samuel signed a 3-year deal. All of those deals essentially coming off the books right around the same time. I can do that. Hell, I'd even make the deal with an exit ramp after 2. If I didn't like the way he was playing, I can get out of that last year of the deal, not have to pay him, and keep it pushing. And there are ways to make that a less painful deal. 6 year, make it a 6-year deal. The last 3 years avoidable, but you can spread it out over 6 instead of just 3. There's so many ways teams can manipulate the cap if they want to. You know? But I said all of that to say this. If Scherff doesn't play the bulk of the games this year, and I'm talking 15 out of 17 games, and he isn't dominant, why would you want him back anyway? I don't understand. At the price tag that it's probably going to cost. We'll see what happens. He's not going to sign before the July 15th deadline. Okay, he's one of those guys on the franchise tag. They have until July 15th to reach a long-term deal with him. It's not happening. I've already explained that to you guys, so I don't need to do that again. The real question will be, will he be here after next year? That's the real question on a long-term deal. So, thank you for the super chat, Sonny Rawson. Got another super chat here. It's also from my guy, Sonny Rawson. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Sonny. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Sonny Rawson, writes, I don't see Ron and company looking to pay anyone that isn't a tackle that much bread. Hate to be a downer. Looks like this could be his last year in Washington. I've already come to grips with that. Frankly, if we keeping it funky, I thought last year was his last year in Washington. I didn't expect him to get the tag. I said either there's a long-term deal in the works for Brandon Scherff or he's gone. I thought with the cap being reduced, I thought they were going to extend this deal out there. If he didn't want it, they're going to say, all right, go test the market. In a year where teams were looking to get rid of guards, not pay them, not overspend on a guard, but get rid of guards, I would have loved to have seen what Brandon Scherff would have fetched. Now, maybe with the Chiefs being so desperate as they were and so thirsty to improve their offensive line, maybe if Scherff's available, instead of getting the Patriots guard, maybe they pay Brandon Scherff. Or maybe they pay both of them. Who knows? At the end of the day, I would have said, all right, you don't like the contract we offered you? Think you can get more out there on the market? Be my guest. By all means, be my guest. Have at it. Good luck. And if he gets a deal out there that fits what he was looking for, so be it. You move on. You trade for Eric Flowers like you did. You know, maybe you even have to draft a guy. Sadiq Charles, Wes Schweitzer, you got a bunch of guys in there in the mix. Figure it out. That's not what they wanted to do. So, I didn't think he would be back this year personally. So, I've already mentally prepared myself for life after Brandon Scherff, and that's okay. So, thank you for the super chat, Sonny Rawson. Ian Harding, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you once again, Ian Harding. Got another super chat. This is from my guy, Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, Tanya picking team name, Washington Red Roses. She's not going to pick the team name. I think they already have the name, man. Like, all of these different things that Jason Wright is doing, I just laugh every time there's another poll or another survey or another questionnaire that they send out to season ticket holders and people get all excited with random ass names and stupid shit. I think they're just trying to conjure up fan involvement, fan engagement. They want to make, because there were so many apathetic fans, so many people that just simply didn't give a shit anymore. Whether the team won or lost, they could care less. Because there's been so much disassociation with this brand. Because there was so much loyalty and attachment to the name that is no longer here, they're trying to get people back on board. And one of the ways they've tried to do that is having Jason Wright, coming from his background in business, bring fans in closer by making them feel like they're a part of the process when they're really not. Again, sorry to burst some of your bubbles out there if you really felt like you've been a part of this process. They're asking you, what do you think the name should be? Here's a questionnaire. Here's a survey. Pick one of these names. And they give you a list of random ass names, none of which you like. They're just trying to make you feel like you're a part of this process when you're really not. I think they already know what the name of this team is going to be. Whether it's going to stay Washington football team or it's going to be the Warriors or whatever the hell they're working on right now behind the scenes. If I were a betting man right now, I would put my money on this team remaining the Washington football team. Everything that they've done to this point screams, to me at least, Washington football team. I mean, if you're going to change the name of this team, why spend all the money that it took to do everything they did in the stadium? You know, change all of the seats, change all of the wallpaper inside the stadium, change all of the imagery in the stadium to Washington football team. Why are you going to put a sign outside of the stadium? Nobody else is seeing that shit. Why are you going to put a sign that says the Washington football team? You know, like they've poured into this rebrand of Washington football team so much so that it's starting to feel like this is home. Get comfortable. You know, they tried to sell it as if, hey, this is temporary. Don't get comfortable. But yet, every time I turn around, you're trying to make me even more comfortable with being the Washington football team. Even going as far as to say, hey, a lot of people really like this name. Who the hell are you talking to? Okay? Because the vast majority of people that I'm talking to, and maybe I'm not in the know, and in the community that I talk to, it's very small. I'll admit. It's only a few thousand people. It's not like I'm talking to 100,000 Washington fans. Or 1 million of them. I'm only talking to several hundred, okay? Several thousand, even. But in this small circle, I can tell you, there aren't many that want the name to remain the same. Yet, they're saying, hey, there's a lot of people out here that really like this name. I see what you're doing there, guy. I see what you're doing, okay? You're not slick. So, she's not picking the name. I think they already know what the name's going to be. They're just trying to get all their ducks in a row before they roll it out. And they're trying to desensitize us to changing the name. So they want us to get to the point where we're like, look, honestly, we don't give a shit. If it stays Washington football team, so be it. You drag your feet long enough. And you know how thirsty we were for a new name when they changed from Redskins? Do you know how thirsty we were? Latest name update. What do they have? What do you think it's going to be? You know how thirsty we were? How many times have we talked about the name? Because I don't talk about the shit no more. Because honestly, and I told you guys this really from the jump. As long as it's not something crazy, far-fetched, or outlandish, I really don't care. We're going to get ridiculed regardless of whatever we do. You can't win at this point. Whether it's Warriors, there's so many Warriors already out there. There are already teams named the Warriors. That's dumb. That's so unoriginal. You can't win. Red Tails, it sounds like an 8th grade, or a 10-year-old rec league team name. Like, you can't win. So, at this point, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I say that, but then I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. Because you can't say, I don't give a shit, but then when they come up with a name you don't like, you go, don't name it that, which that's the shit I'm doing. So I can't say that I don't care. I'm not as invested in the name as I probably should be. But there's certain things like I'm vehemently against club. I don't want to be a football club. I don't want to be Washington FC. Again, you want to be Washington FC? Go buy a franchise and take your ass over to the soccer field. that's probably as passionate as I'm going to be on this name changes. Look, don't name us football club. They're not going to name us something stupid, like the Washington Pansies. They're gonna try to make it as classy a name as possible. They may fail epically, but at the end of the day, I think we're gonna be the Washington football team. They're trying to get us to a point where we're like, hey, look, if we're gonna be the football team, we're the football team, but just make up your damn mind. I think that's where we're getting to. They're trying to get us to that point. We're not there yet. Drag this thing out another year or two, however, and you'll get some more people saying, you know what, at this point, I'm cool with Washington football team. We've been the football team for the last 3-4 years now. So shit, I'm cool with it. We'll see what happens. Personally, that's what I think is going to happen. But again, we will see. Thank you for that super chat, Metaphor. Got another super chat. This one is also from Metaphor. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Metaphor writes, Daniel Snyder's Mile High Club, perhaps. Nah, I mean, look, if he had something like that going on, we would have known about it by now. He's gotten into some sticky situations, man. He always seems to weasel his way out. There was that one female in the I want to say it was in his limo after a concert or something. Something like that. I don't know the details because I don't really care. I don't care about these things. But he paid her off. I know that much. So I don't think he's got. You know what? We don't know at this point. We don't know. We don't know what the hell's going on. All right. Tanner Austin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Tanner Austin, writes, thoughts on Josh Doctson before he left. Had amazing ball skills out of college, and I feel like he wasn't given a chance to emerge. Then he opted out in 2020. Someone's missing out on what he could be. Josh Doctson is, I think, still a New York Jet if he didn't get released by the Jets. Let's check and see. The last time I heard about Josh Doctson, he was with the Jets. I thought they released him, but I could be wrong. He opted out, and I'm like, Josh, dude, you're opting out? But I told you, we always thought that he didn't really want to play ball. So the opt-out, and, he got released. His career's over. Unless there is a GM out there that loved him coming out of TCU, and it's like, this guy's super talented, and Josh Doctson has his agent reaching out to teams around the league saying, hey, my guy wants to play, and he's in great shape. He's done. I don't think he wants to play football. I don't think he ever really wanted to play ball. Like, he got his money. He was a first-round pick. He got his bread. And, for somebody that really didn't do much work, he got paid good money. Don't know what his rookie contract was, but he probably amassed over, double figures in terms of millions of dollars. Let's see if we can see what his Josh Doctson's net gross. Let's see if we can figure that out. See how much he made in his career. Obviously, you got to take into consideration. Taxes and whatnot. Career earnings $9.9 million. So, he made $10 million with Washington. 8 of it, after taxes, he walked away with 8. He made $720 with the Vikings. And then he made $890 with the Jets. But after taxes and everything else that came into play, he only came away with, yeah, the $9.9 million is what he ultimately walked away with. So close to $10 million. That's not bad for a dude that hardly did any damn thing, honestly. And that probably really didn't want to play ball. So it was another example of this organization failing to do their due diligence with a guy that was originally at the University of Wyoming and in his freshman year got homesick, left Wyoming, I think walked away from football for a little while, and then ultimately went to TCU, which was closer to home because he wanted to be closer to his family, and then went back and played ball because he was closer to the crib. So there was already a track record of a guy that, yeah, I don't really love ball all that much. I love it when I'm in the mood to play, but I'm only really in the mood to play when I'm close to home. So it was the same thing like, you know, Sua Cravens. They didn't do their due diligence. This guy quit in college like 2 or 3 times. So you knew that something was off there, but they didn't do the due diligence. They decided it was a good idea to spend a second-round pick on him. They thought it was a great idea to spend a first-round pick on Josh Doctson. I wanted him here. The talent suggests, as you mentioned, great ball skills, could go up and get it. All of those things were intriguing. But at the end of the day, none of that matters if you don't love ball. Chris Cooley, a wise man, once said, the first thing I want to know is, does this guy love ball? If I'm interviewing a player, I got to be able to look into your soul when I ask you the question, do you love ball? And I'm not one of those people that feel like football needs to come before everything else in your life. You know, you got a family, your religion, whatever. I'm not one of those people that, hey, it's football all day, every day, 24/7. But after family, after religion, if that's something that's really big in your life, you know, after the things that you consider to be core principles and the foundation of your life are removed, does ball matter to you? Is ball one of those things in one of your core principles? You would like it to be. I need to know, do you really love playing this game? Because we about to spend a boatload of money to invest in you. So I got to know. I mean, that's why you're seeing teams now hire psychologists to do these player interviews, to really get into the psyche of these players to find out, because these guys are being coached up on how to answer these questions. You know, it's not about how fast you run the 40. It's not just how high you're jumping on your vertical or how far you're jumping on your broad, how fast you did the 3-cone, how fast is your short shuttle. All of that stuff is great, but that's not the only thing anymore. You got to ace these interviews. You can scare teams off if you don't. So players have been coached up on what to say in these interviews. They're doing mock interviews. What if they ask you this question? What if they throw you a curveball here? That's why they're hiring these psychologists, to try to get the reals. Because I'm going to say whatever I got to say to get you to think that I'm the guy, so that once you draft me, once I sign on the dotted line after you draft me, there's no point. You know, you're past the point of no return. I got you. Josh Doctson got us. It's okay. You get got sometimes. It's not the player's job to, you know, prevent the team from getting got. It's his job to get the team, especially if he doesn't love the game. It's your job as an organization to not get got. He had all the talent to be a really good receiver in this league, but he didn't care enough. He did not care enough, period. He's done. I think he's done in the league. The opt-out, for me, I said, Josh, bro, what are you doing? And again, I don't know if there are underlying, circumstances there. He could have had family members or himself that he was worried about, anything. I don't know. It's easy for me to say on the outside looking in what he should have done. I just said, bro, this could be it for you, right? Not playing in 2020 could be like the kiss of death for your career. You do understand that. He's like, yeah, I'm cool. I made almost $10 million. I'm cool. I ain't tripping. Okay. Long as you cool with it, I'm cool with it. So, and as far as him not being given a chance, he was given ample opportunities in Washington. You know, he made one big play. The biggest play he made in a Washington uniform was the diving catch against the Seattle Seahawks on the road in a game we had no business winning, but we went on the road and beat the Seattle Seahawks with a ragtag bunch of guys. The defense was tremendous in that ball game. And I think we won that game 20-18, if I'm not mistaken. And he dropped the big pass against the Chiefs. Excuse me. Had a chance to win us the ball game. And I say that loosely because had he caught the pass, there still would have been about a good 47 seconds left or maybe even a minute left in the game. Remember, the Chiefs, we tied the game with a Dustin Hopkins field goal, and then the Chiefs later on, you know, I think with about 35, maybe 46, they went right down the field and got in the field goal range and beat us. So if he catches that, there's no guarantee that we win the game, but we would have been in the driver's seat. So it doesn't matter. He didn't pan out. Talent or no talent, he didn't love the game. And that's pretty much what it is. Thank you for the super chat, Tanner Austin. Let's see. Contraband Truth. Thank you for the super chat, Contraband Truth. Greatly appreciate you. Contraband Truth writes, what up, Lou? What up, Contraband Truth? Are you attending training camp this year? Hope to see you, my guy. Probably not. Probably not. I got to get the training camp dates locked in, I should say, and see exactly when it is. I think they've already been released, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if they've already released training camp dates for Washington. Training camp dates for Washington. See if they got some training camp dates. It says the Washington football team will return to Richmond, Virginia, July 27th through the 31st for training camp. And unlike last year, fans will be permitted to attend. So they'll be there 4 days. I think they're only going to be there for those 4 days of training camp, kind of like a meet and greet with the fans. I remember Ron saying that he wanted to show some love and support to the fans in Richmond because of them holding, you know, the organization and team down for the last, feels like they've been in Richmond for about a decade now. You know, last year they weren't able to be there, obviously, due to COVID, but he wanted to show some love to Richmond and the fan base there. And then he said they were going to come back. So it was only going to be a week, which the 4 days pretty much constitutes a week in NFL terms because they've got days off and things of that nature. So he said it was going to be a quick, go down, meet and greet, and then come back, and then they were going to really conduct the bulk of training camp in Ashburn. So I can tell you I won't be at any of the Richmond training camp dates because I won't even be in town. I'll be out of town that entire duration of that period. So as far as training camp being open to the public, I don't think they're going to have any practices open to the public in Ashburn. They may have Fan Appreciation Day. Been there, done that enough times. Don't need to do that again. So more likely than not, no. I won't be at training camp. But don't rule me out of going to a game this year. Don't rule me out of that. I may be at a game or two this season. I'd say right now, highly unlikely. But as in past years when it was like, no way, not going to a game, I don't think that's the case. I probably won't go to a game, but I'm not ruling it out like I did in past years. Thank you for the super chat, Contraband Truth. Got another super chat here from Daily Grind. Thank you for the super chat. Really do appreciate you, Daily Grind, who writes, Green Bay feeling really tender lately. I'm all smiles hoping Aaron Rodgers looks our way when he is free to test the waters. P.S. Check CashApp. I thought I saw CashApp. Really do appreciate you, Daily Grind, man. My guy Daily Grind also blessed me with a 30-piece on Cash App says, keep bringing the heat, Lou. Your loyal sub daily grind. Thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you, daily grind, man. So daily grind continues to bless the Louie T Network brand, and I can't really begin to explain how big that is. So, man, I can't thank you enough, and all of you out there that continue to support. I really do appreciate all that you guys do for the Louie T Network. Thank you so much, Daily Grind. Really do appreciate you. As far as Aaron Rodgers is concerned, it's not up to Rodgers. That's the thing that I've been trying to stress when it comes to some of these players. I made the comment when talking about, some of these players taking the socials to try to recruit other players that are looking to get out of their current situation. And I'm like, you do realize that player, especially if they don't have a no trade clause, which Aaron Rodgers does not have a no trade clause. So he really doesn't have any say so. Unlike a Deshaun Watson, who actually does have a no trade clause where he can say, nope, not going there. Try again. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have veto power. If the Green Bay Packers say, we're not trading you to an NFC team, even though his preference could be, I want to go to Washington, which it's not. He's already said he's from Chico, California. He wants to go back to the West Coast. He's already made that abundantly clear. He would like to play for a West Coast team. He's already said that Denver would be a perfect destination for him. It's close to the West Coast where he wants to be. They have a quarterback need. They've got a team that's ready to win. He would, if he goes to Denver, he would have never been on a roster with as much talent as the Denver Broncos have offensively. He would have never been on a team with that many weapons, and they're all young and hungry and ready to perform at a high level. If he were to go there, right away the Broncos become, and really you say that about any team that adds Aaron Rodgers, they become a Super Bowl contender, but some teams more than others. You ship him to Denver, the defense is loaded and ready to rock and roll. The offense is waiting for someone to take over as the unquestioned leader, and they're ready to just take off and win 15 games with Aaron Rodgers. However, highly unlikely, at least this season. If he gets traded, I think it'll be next offseason. And I think it'll be to an AFC team. I don't think the Packers want to see Aaron Rodgers in their conference. And I get it. It may only be once or twice that you may have to see him. You may play him in the regular season and then have to play him again in the postseason. But they don't want to deal with that. And also, keep in mind, the team that you trade Aaron Rodgers to, they immediately become a Super Bowl contender. So not only are you trading him away from your team, and that's diminishing your chances of winning, you're also greatly increasing someone else's chances. You don't want that team to be in your conference because you're trying to fight for a playoff spot. If you trade him in the conference, and let's say you trade him to a team that didn't make the playoffs a year ago, i.e., I'll just throw out a random team. They may even have a quarterback. But just for the sake of saying, let's say they trade him to Carolina. Obviously, they already traded for Sam Darnold. They don't need a quarterback. But they didn't make the playoffs last year. You trade them to Carolina, they're a playoff team now. So that's a team that you didn't have to worry about before the trade. They're now a playoff team. If you're trying to fight and scratch and claw your way into the postseason, you just made it harder on yourself because you traded them to a team that you're vying for a playoff spot with. Whereas if you trade them to the AFC, you don't have to worry about him. So I don't see them trading him in conference. Period. He's too good of a football player. If he's going to win and win big, they'd rather it happen in the AFC. So, we can have all of the daydreams about what this team could be. I've said it already. I told you guys what it is. You get a quarterback. If we would have gotten Matthew Stafford, hell, not even a guy even close to the level of an Aaron Rodgers. Had we just gotten Matthew Stafford, I'm talking Super Bowl right now. A guy that has never won a postseason game in Matthew Stafford, I'm talking crazy. Crazy, the likes of which you've never seen me talk. And you know I'm a pretty modest guy. I don't like to talk nonsense because I understand that karma's a sumbitch. However, I would have been talking greasy, like I just took a bite out of some church's chicken. I would have been talking greasy. 14-3, get out of my face. Don't at me. With Matthew Stafford, I'm talking nonsense like that. That's how highly I think of this entire roster, except for the quarterback position. So I understand when somebody says, man, we could get Aaron Rodgers, it's on and popping. You're damn right it would be. However, the likelihood of him landing here, slim and none. And it's a lot closer to none than slim. So it is what it is, man. At this point, I'm going to have a really interesting video coming down the pipeline this weekend when we talk about quarterbacks and where Washington ranks in the division and where they rank league-wide. And, it's an interesting discussion. I'm not going to elaborate too much. I'll do that on the video. However, I'll say this. When talking quarterbacks, you always got to gauge where your team is and can that guy help me right now. I'm not talking about what quarterback I want 5 years from now, 7 years from now. Yeah, give me that guy. I'm talking about the guy that can help me in 2021. And that's what you got to take into consideration. So, man, it'd be nice to get one of those veterans, but we got what we got. I don't like to deal in hypotheticals or what-if scenarios. We got Ryan Fitzpatrick as our quarterback. We got Fitty, and we got Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen behind him. That's what we got. So we got to make the best of our situation. Hopefully we get a out-of-body experience from one of these dudes. All we need is 1 year. With the team, if we're healthy, with the team, the way it's constructed, if we get an out-of-body experience from one of these dudes, we got a chance to take it all the way. But, again, highly unlikely. Thank you for the super chat and the blessing on CashApp daily grind. Really do appreciate you. All right. Let's see. Got another super chat. This one is from my guy, Barrett Downing. Thank you for the super chat, Barrett Downing. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, BD, as always, writes, got my shirt, brother, and I'm loving it. Which one? Are you talking about Ron's plan or are you talking about Mob Squad? Let me know which one you're talking about. You don't necessarily have to super chat. I'll be looking out for you. Just tell me which one it is. Because I'm telling you, these Mob Squad shirts, they're big business, man. They're hot stuff. Y'all, if you're not on it, get you one of these Mob Squad shirts, man. We mobbing it up, and I'm looking to do some of these local events where I'm gonna pick a venue, and I'll tell you, I'm gonna try to get out of the house, man. And I want to see as many of these Mob Squad shirts as possible when we finally do it. I want them to think, is this a family reunion or something? Like, why do I see all these people with the same shirt on? I'm trying to do it that big. So if you don't have your Mob Squad shirt, get your apparel, man. Hats, shirts, again, different colors, different models of the hat. You got your dad hat, you got your snapback, you got camo, you got black, you got all these different ways to freak it. Black, burgundy, gold. You can do however you want to do it. You can put together whatever combination, but rep the mob, man. Rep it and rep it hard. So I know I'm going to be repping the shit out of it. I ain't going to lie. So thank you for the super chat, Barrett Downing. Got another one here from King of the North. Thank you for the super chat, King of the North. I had somebody get on me about saying North and ending it with an F instead of a TH. So, and it wasn't my guy King of the North. It's some rando doing that. So, in any event, my guy King of the North writes, Washington Nighthawks, silhouette of the F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter jet on the helmet. You can't tell me that wouldn't be badass. Let me give you a little something there. Now, it's not the same Nighthawk you're talking about. But once upon a time, my old stomping grounds, back home, 7 cities, Norfolk's finest, born and raised, had an expansion Arena League football team. And their name? The Norfolk Nighthawks. So, I like Nighthawks. Thought it was a pretty cool name for an AFL team. But for an NFL team, it could be dope. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the Nighthawks just sound dope. But, again, I could see somebody feeling like that's for a 12-year-old, midget basketball team. The Nighthawks. So, it is what it is. Theirs was an actual bird. You're talking about a fighter jet. So, 2 different things. Same name, though. I don't see them getting, it's crazy because of all the different names that have been, boundied about during this process. I don't see them getting, I think you guys out there are giving them too much credit in terms of these names and the meaning of it and why they named it. I don't think they're getting that in depth. They're thinking about cost. They're thinking about what rights they can procure. They're thinking about all of the legalities of it. They're not thinking about, we should name the team Red Tails. There is a rich history of what Red Tail means. They're not thinking about that shit. At least I don't think they are. They're thinking about, all right, if we name it this, can we get rights to the website? Can we get rights to this name? Can we get all of the legal situation taken care of? The likeness of this, logos, everything. Can we get all of this stuff taken care of? Which is why I think they're going to remain the Washington football team. You know how hard it was for them to get all of the things they needed with Washington football team? And they've got everything they need. The only thing in this is the reason that I think they are leaning towards Washington football team. They just got denied a patent in the courts. They tried to patent, Washington football team, and it's too close to XYZ, and they couldn't do it. Somebody beat them to the punch, essentially. You had a squatter that was planning for this moment, beat them to the punch. And so right now, they're not able to get some, and that leads me to believe that they're trying to dot all their I's, cross all their T's with football team, and then say, here it is. Everyone loves this name, so we're going to stick with it. We're going to see. But I think a lot of you out there are giving them way too much credit for, coming up with a name that has meaning to it. I don't think they're really considering a lot of those things. So, again, we'll see. Thank you for the super chat. My guy, King of the North. Got another one here from Lamarick. Thank you for the super chat, Lamarick Anderson. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Lamarick Anderson, writes, Lou, if Fitz starts off the season red hot and starts to struggle before the end of the season division stretch, would you pull him if the season is on the line? So, here's the issue with that, Lamarick. If you do that, you're putting a guy essentially that's into the game that's cold off the bench. Now, Heineke came in cold off the pine last year and lit it up. But that's not to say that he's instant offense every time you decide to do that. If Fitzpatrick is struggling after starting out the season hot, and now you got this big stretch of division games and the division is still on the line, you could get a situation where Ron is thinking, hey, and you got to understand that there's context to everything. So you say he comes out scorching. We might win a game or two that we didn't expect to win. And now we're losing games to teams that we feel like we're better than, and he's struggling. Yeah, you pull the trigger. But what if he's still playing just good enough to where you're like, hey, it really ain't all his fault? You could then make excuses for him and keep him in the lineup. I've said this already. This isn't a Dwayne Haskins situation with Ryan Fitzpatrick in the upcoming season. There will be no quick hooks unless he is just god awful. Unless he is just god awful, there will be no quick hooks. If he plays the way Dwayne played last season, the difference being he's not reading the field backwards. Okay? His first read isn't his fourth read, and his second read isn't his third read, and his third read isn't his second read, and his fourth read isn't his first read. As long as he's not going to do that. He's a lot smarter than that. He knows the game. He knows where he's supposed to go through his progressions and how he's supposed to go through them. He's not going to get benched. Remember, when Dwayne got benched, I think he threw for over 300 yards. I think his last game starting early in the season was against the Ravens. We were never close in the game. But he threw for over 300 yards. A lot of that was some garbage time yards. Late last possession that we scored a touchdown on. I think he got a quarterback sneak on. Threw a deep ball to Terry down to like the 1, and then he quarterback sneaked it in. He wasn't terrible in the game. He just wasn't good. If Ryan Fitzpatrick does that, he's going to continue to start, I believe. I think, though, you also have to take into consideration what the preseason looks like. If they watch Taylor Heineke dominate all throughout camp and into the preseason, but Fitzpatrick has been solid, they're going to roll with Fitzpatrick, but they may be saying to themselves, Heineke may give us the best chance to win with Fitzpatrick struggling, man. Let's turn it over to Heineke. He's been looking really good. Whereas if Heineke is subpar, so is Kyle Allen, and Ryan Fitzpatrick has been the better of the three quarterbacks, and it's really not that close in camp and into the preseason, he might be a little bit more reluctant to pull the trigger, especially if he gets off to a hot start, as you mentioned. But I think that they would pull the trigger. If he got off to a hot start, we were winning, and then he starts to cool off and does that Ryan Fitzpatrick thing, and he goes through a really rough stretch, I could see them pulling the trigger on him and getting him out of there. Getting somebody else in there, Heineke or whomever, But it's hard to say because, like I said, a lot of these things, it's context. And that you got to take it, with a grain of salt. You got to understand everything that's going on, and then you make a decision based off of all of the facts, which we don't have. But as you mentioned, 5 division games to finish up the season. Big stretch of ball. The question is, are we in it to win it? Or are we just playing out the string at that point of the season? That'll determine a lot too. So like I said, there's a lot of different factors that go into it. So thank you for the super chat, Lamarick Anderson. My guy, King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. King of the North. King of the North. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, Giants have the best DBs in the NFC by far, Lou. I love our D-line, but I think great coverage is more important than pass rush in the modern NFL. It's going to be interesting watching New York's 3-3-5 this season. So you bring up a very hotly debated topic amongst a lot of analytics geeks and people who care about the chicken or the egg. So old school NFL purists like Ron Rivera believe that the defensive line and an edge rusher is more vital to success defensively than that of a defensive back, specifically a corner. I think the new age analytics geeks and, some of the coaches that are forward thinking, i.e. Bill Belichick, believe that it's the other way around. Give me the shutdown corner and I'll win with that guy with an average pass rush, because you'll increase their ability to get to the quarterback because the quarterback's got nowhere to throw the football. So you could look at it one of two ways. And I've heard both arguments. They're both compelling. They both make a ton of sense. It's really all in what your philosophical beliefs are. That's really what it boils down to. So on one end, if you're a defensive edge rusher type of guy like myself, the argument is with elite quarterbacks, the only way to rattle their cage is to get to them before they get started. I don't care how good the coverage is with these elite quarterbacks. If the rush doesn't get there and you're covering your ass off, that guy, if he's got 5 seconds back there or he's Mahomes and he can dance around and elude pressure, that guy's going to come open eventually. Some of these quarterbacks are so good, they can throw a guy open. It doesn't matter how tight your coverage is. You can't defend the perfect pass. So there's all these, different types of throws, back shoulder fades, 50-50 balls you throw up, and if you got a big receiver, you can go get it. There's so many different things that a quarterback can do to help his guy out, even if the coverage is stellar. So in my mind, you get to the quarterback and you eliminate all of that. Okay? But then, the counter argument to that is, and again, you could take a dominant pass rush and turn a mediocre secondary into a really good secondary, because you're going to have quarterbacks process sped up. You're going to have some errant throws because of pressure. You're going to have some batted balls. You're going to have some, quarterbacks throwing it up for grabs under duress, all of those things. Or you're going to have a guy that just panics. So there's that. But then the counter argument to that for the other side, if you value cornerbacks more like yourself, is that you can take an elite pass rusher out of the game. You can double team them, triple team them, i.e. the Buccaneers. What we thought they did against Chase Young when they really did double team and triple team him. But you can take a pass rusher out of the game. You can double and triple team him. Make sure that he's not the factor that he's been in the past. As for a star corner, there's not anything you can really do. If the other team wants to take their best corner and put him on your best wide receiver, and that's a guy you rely on heavily, great example, Green Bay Packers last year in the playoffs. Excuse me. They were heavily reliant upon Davante Adams. Adams did not have a great game against the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship game. Dropped a touchdown, was open for another one. Rodgers didn't get it to him. Rodgers tried to force it to him when he had another receiver wide ass open for a touchdown. On another play, they had to settle for a field goal. You can take Davante Adams out of the game. Take your best corner. If it's Jalen Ramsey or one of these guys that we feel like can be an eraser in this league, it's all right. Star coverage. That's your guy all game. Wherever he goes, you shadow him. He's your guy. And if that guy is exactly what you say he is, a lockdown, shutdown corner, he's going to lock his ass up. Now what is Aaron Rodgers going to do? It's Aaron Rodgers, so he'll probably get it to Robert Tonyan. He'll probably get it to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He'll probably get it to Alan Lazard. But you'll definitely force one of those guys to beat you, and if they do, you tip your cap. Say, you got me. So you can't take a star corner out of the game. And that's why people feel like the value is at the cornerback position. And obviously, just like I said with the edge rushers, if you've got a star corner and he can take away the other team's best receiver, and that's your number one read on 65% of your plays, but now the quarterback's got to hold on to it just a smidge longer, and that could give an average pass rush the opportunity to hit home. So there's arguments for both sides. They both make sense. For me, I want to get to the quarterback as fast as possible. You can also neutralize a great pass rush with the quick game. Screens, slants, wide receiver screens, running back screens, tight end screens, 5-yard out, West Coast offense type of stuff. And ball out of the hands quickly before the rush can even get there. 3-step drops, ball out. So, like I said, it can go both ways. It's all in your preference. I'm an edge rusher guy. Give me the guys that can get after the quarterback. They affect the game to me the most. Quarterbacks hate pressure. You give a quarterback all day, but you got a lockdown corner, I'll find somebody to get the football to. You give me enough time, somebody will get open, including the guy that's being covered by the number one corner. Eventually, he'll shake free if I get enough time. With elite edge rushers, you don't have enough time. It's part of the reason why the Patriots lost to the Giants twice in the Super Bowl. The Giants, you don't remember any of those players from the Giants secondaries in 2011 or 2007. I don't think any of you can recall even one of them. I know one of them in 2007. I can remember one of them. But I just said that, and I made that point to say that you don't remember their secondary in either of those years. You know what you do remember, though? That vaunted pass rush. Now, as King of the North said, times have changed. I just referenced a game from a decade ago and another game from damn near 15 years ago. It's not like that anymore. It's a different game. And while that is true, similar to a dominant run game and playing defense and how that'll never be old and it'll always be timeless, I feel like getting after the quarterback will never change. If you can do that at a high level, I don't care how quick they're trying to get rid of the football. I don't care how they try to neutralize your pass rush. If you got enough of those dogs up front and they hunting and they eating, it's going to be hard for a quarterback to get comfortable in the pocket. So we'll see what happens with the Giants and that secondary that they've been able to put together this offseason. And that 3-3-5 defense. I think it's a joke, personally. The Panthers were playing a lot of it last year. Excuse me. I don't think you can play that as your base defense because your box is too light. I mean, you could theoretically bring down, a couple of extra defenders because you're either going to have 3 corners on the field or you're going to have, 3 safeties on the field in that alignment. You could easily bring down 2 of your safeties into the box, and they would act as your 7th and 8th defender. But why would you exchange a safety out, one of those safeties out? Why would you do that, exchanging out a defensive lineman, a guy with more beef and girth up front, to put another guy that's probably 200, 205 pounds in the box? So, I mean, again, a lot of intrigue there, but I don't see it. Thank you for the Super Chat, King of the North. Rashad Coker, thank you for the Super Chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Rashad Coker, writes, Lou, Rashad, this is my first ever Super Chat. Well, congratulations, and it's so good to talk to you, Rashad. Says, on YouTube, LOL, but love the channel and expect to hear a lot more from me in the future. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Rashad. And I'm going to say that we will chop it up in the future. I'm going to go ahead and speak that into fruition. So, good to hear from you, Rashad, and I'm looking forward to chopping it up with you in the near future. Thank you again for the Super Chat. Welcome. Daily Grind. Thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Daily Grind, really tripling up. As I mentioned earlier, he blessed me on CashApp as well. Daily Grind writes, over 200 watching and under 50 likes. Y'all ninjas stingy as F. Sheesh. Y'all heard the man. I mean, it's obviously when he posted that super chat, those were the figures. But we're under 200. We're over 180, but only 69 likes. Still not enough. We should be approaching 100 likes at this point of the show. So if you're out there, want to take this time to implore you to help your man Louie T out by simply hitting the subscribe button, turning on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and most importantly, as my guy just referenced, if you're already here, more likely than not, you're already a subscriber. I don't want to make any assumptions, so hit that if you haven't. But hit the like button. There's enough proof here that a lot of you are watching and you haven't hit the like button for whatever reason. Hit it if you haven't hit it already. And I know sometimes I just forget. I'll be watching some content and I really like the content that I'm watching. It was informative. It gave me exactly what I was looking for. And I'll leave the video and not hit the like button and then have to double back and circle. I always circle back and hit the like button if I forget and I remember. I think there's this, and you guys can attest to this. If you've ever worked a job before, it gives you a greater appreciation for other people that work that same job. So, as a former vendor in my past life, before I was a vendor, I'd pick up a can of SpaghettiOs from aisle 3 and decide I didn't want it and put it on a random shelf on aisle 8. After being a vendor for multiple years, if I don't want something, guess what? Either I'm going to make a special trip back to aisle 3 to put it back where I got it, or I'm going to hold on to it until I pass aisle 3 on my way up to the front of the store to check out and put it back. Because I have a greater appreciation for what vendors do because I was once in their shoes. Same thing here. Because I'm a vid maker and a content creator and I have a brand, I have a greater appreciation for the work that goes into a YouTube video. So if I enjoy it, I'm going to hit the like button. Even if I forget and I got to go all the way back in and go back to that video just to hit the like button, I'm going to do that. So, again, if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. Thank you for that. Thank you for the super chat, Daily Grind. Barrett Downing, my guy BD. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, BD. Greatly appreciate you, my guy BD. Writes, mob, brother. That's what's up. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to go ahead and play this. So my guy, Barrett Downing, said he's gotten his merch already. He's gotten his Mob Squad tee, and he loves it. And I got a couple of, I'm going to be rocking these joints. You're going to start to see this all over socials. I'm going to have a big time campaign pushing these shirts and on this merch really over the month of July and into August, because it's a big effing deal, man. Like this is my baby. The Mob Squad is something that I really, truly enjoy. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I do, because I was one of those people that when I watch the game, I don't want to be interrupted. So I don't want to watch the game and be chopping it up with people, because I'm going to lose focus. I'm not going to be as locked in. And I found that to be absolutely 100% unequivocally false. As a matter of fact, I find myself more dialed in, and my ability to, in between plays, be able to communicate what I just saw to you guys forces me to even be more locked in. Look, you can't get more locked in than I am during game day. You know, when Washington, especially when Washington is playing, I'm dialed in as much as someone, you know, not playing in the game can be dialed in. But, you know, the communication that we have during these games in the Mob Squad is phenomenal. I enjoy it. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I do. And I really enjoy the dialogue. You guys see the game really well, too. And you're communicating what you see. And, you know, it's fun to hear some of the emotion and the roller coaster that a lot of you go through as you're watching the game. We're down 14. This team sucks. We're going to lose. God, why didn't they do this or that? And then, you know, 2 quarters later, we're right there with a chance to win. And you're like, here we go. Rivera, these guys made halftime adjustments. They're the best. It's so much fun. You know, it can be polarizing. You could have guys on one end of the spectrum and guys and gals on the other end of the spectrum. But it's all love. We all family, and it's all Mob Squad. And I love that you love the merch. I told you, I put my stamp of approval on this, because anytime you're rocking some of my merch, that's something that has my brand on it. So I swear by it. So I'm glad that you love it. And I hope any of you out there that are a part of the Mob Squad, or you're looking to become a part of the Mob Squad, that you also invest in the Mob Squad and get the merch as well. So thank you for the super chat, Barrett Downing, and thank you for the purchase. Really do appreciate you, as always. BD. Condoleezza Perry, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Condoleezza Perry, who writes, I'm from P-Town, Churchland West. Got a chance to meet the Nighthawks at work back in the '01. Wow, we got a P-Towner in here. What's going on, Condoleezza? I used to hate playing at Churchland once upon a time. I think I've already mentioned this, but some of the biggest fireflies I've ever seen in my life reside in the city of Portsmouth. But that said, ain't nothing like P-Town, man. It's different over there across that bridge. It's a little different on those side of the tracks. But the Nighthawks were a thing for a little while there, you know. Again, when you don't have any professional sports teams, it doesn't matter how small, you know, the team is, you gravitate towards them. And for a little while, the Nighthawks were one of those teams in Norfolk. We also have the Tides, you know, so at times they're a big deal, but it's the Norfolk Tides. So they're only but so big. That's a baseball team for those of you who don't know what the Norfolk Tides are, baseball team. So at the end of the day, we don't have a lot. We didn't have a lot around there. Still don't. So that was pretty cool that you got to meet them. Did they come to your job, or did you go to their job? Like that. I'm assuming they came to your job. Maybe. That's pretty cool. Thank you for the super chat, Condoleezza Perry. Got another super chat. This one is from Tanner Austin. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Tanner. Greatly appreciate you for that. My guy, Tanner Austin, writes, do you think the safety position has been underrated in the NFL since the Sean Taylor era? To me, it's a critical and fun position that doesn't get the love. I don't think safety is underrated. I just think that depending on who you talk to, the importance of that position has been minimized because of the importance of other positions. So I'll give you an example. We talked about corner, we talked about, edge rushers. Well, there's a premium put on those positions in particular. So because you're so focused on finding a game-changing edge rusher or a game-changing corner, you're not necessarily overly concerned about safety. However, in the past about 7 years, I'd say, the safety position has become more and more important with the advent of the bigger, stronger, faster tight end that is able to flex out and pretty much double as another wide receiver. With the increasing amount of those guys entering the league, you need safeties that can run with these guys, safeties that can play the football. You essentially need another corner on the field, but you want it in a safety frame or a guy with a safety mentality. So the safety position, I think, is becoming more and more important. But what we're finding is that teams aren't necessarily seeing, and I think college is partly to blame for this because of the way defenses are executed at the collegiate level. You're not seeing a lot of safeties play true, free safety or true box safety. You're seeing safeties that are rovers, safeties that are slot corners, essentially, that are nickels. You're seeing safeties that are playing 40 yards off the ball. They're not even on the screen. You don't even see these guys. You're not watching the all 22s. This guy is even close to being in the picture, because they don't want anything over the top, and you can do that at the collegiate game. You can play your safety that deep. So I think you're seeing safeties be diminished in terms of their draft stock, because in college, how many times are we seeing them take a guy that couldn't cut it as a corner and put him at safety? Which means you're probably not the best athlete in the world, because they would have kept you at cornerback. Because that's where you want your best athletes, at the cornerback position. The guy that isn't a great receiver, or they got a log jam at receiver, what do? They take that guy and they convert him into cornerback. Tremendous athlete, great ball skills, awesome movement skills. Hey, let's make him a corner. When we get a corner and he doesn't have necessarily the long distance speed, or he doesn't have the great movement skills, let's put him at safety. So I underrated. I don't think it's been underrated as much as there are other positions that are more important. But I think now safety is starting to come to the forefront, because you got to cover these tight ends. And if you don't have the safeties to be able to do it, or you don't have the linebackers to be able to do it, it becomes tough. So I think it is a fun position. But you're starting to see guys get paid at that position. Justin Simmons just got paid this offseason. Jamal Adams is looking to get broken off. It's starting to become a position that you can't just put anybody. Like Ron Rivera, for a long time, hasn't been a heavy invest in a safety type of coach. You go back to Carolina, and he never really invested high draft capital on a safety. I think Trey Boston might have been the highest drafting draft pick he divulged to a safety, and I think Trey Boston might have been a third or a fourth round pick out of Carolina. So I don't think that Ron had a steady diet of veterans. Roman Harper and Mike Minter was a veteran that he got from the Raiders, and they didn't pay him. When his contract was up, he played well for them, and he ended up getting a contract with the Steelers. So, or not Mike Minter. He was one of their safeties, I think. Mike Minter might have been at the end of his career. I might be going too far back though, but it was Mike something that ended up with he was drafted by the Raiders and ended up in Pittsburgh. Can't think of his name. It's Mike something, Michael something. Mike Mitchell, that's his name, Mike Mitchell. And they didn't re-sign Mike Mitchell. He got big money from the Steelers, and they just said, "All right, Mike, cool." And they just brought in another veteran. They had Michael Adams back there as a veteran. They just paraded veteran safety after veteran safety. Like, he always just kept putting Band-Aids on the safety position. So that's his philosophy, though. Like, I don't need, a difference-making safety. Give me some studs up front. Give me a couple of corners that can ball, and I'll take care of the rest. And give me some backers. I can get by with some average safety play. So if you consider that underrated, by all means. But I just think there are other positions that defensive coaches view as more important. But I think the gap between having dominant corners and safeties that can play ball, I think it's narrowing. I don't think it's as close, but the gap is starting to close a bit as far as you feeling like, hey, I need a dominant corner, but you can just give me anybody at safety. Again, with the Travis Kelce's and the Darren Wallers and the George Kittles and the Mike Gesicki's and the Mark Andrews of the world, shit's getting dicey now. And with guys now coming into the league looking like Kyle Pitts, running 4.4 flats at 6'6", 6'5", 6'6", at 245, you can't just put anybody on Kyle Pitts. So it's becoming even more important that your safety be able to ball. So yeah, I think it is a position that didn't necessarily get the love. I think it's starting to, though. Thank you for that super chat, Tanner Austin. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat and tripling up. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor, who writes, Manscaped partnership. If we win the chip, Lawnmower 4.0 to shave Fitz's beard. Use mine weekly. Thank you, Lou and Ramon. Hey, once again, man, thank you for the purchase of, the Manscaped item or items that you purchased. Hopefully you used my promo code. Awesome products. I don't see Fitz shave. Now, Fitz may, shave the beard off if he makes it to the postseason or something like that. But it almost like James Harden, it's a part of his identity. If James Harden cuts off his beard, he's a funny looking. If Ryan Fitzpatrick cuts off his beard, he'd probably be a funny looking. I mean, we've seen pictures of him without it. You go back to when he first got in the league. He's not the same looking dude. So it's a part of his swag now. So I don't know. We'll see. But highly unlikely that thing is going anywhere. Nor should it. Personally. Anyway, I got another super chat. This one, thank you for that super chat, Metaphor. And once again, thank you for the purchase. Got another one here from Rashad Coker. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Rashad Coker. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, Rashad. Right, so we just talked about chopping it up in the near future. Didn't know it was going to be this soon. My guy, Rashad writes, what would you say is the most ideal scenario that could happen over the next few seasons for the Washington football team to become a dynasty? Draft a rookie quarterback or get a veteran. So dynasty is a really, really big word, like one that should not be tossed around lightly. Dynasties are so few and far between that in order to have a true dynasty, you need a young quarterback. That like Patrick Mahomes is the next guy that you can use the D word with. Because he came into the league and he was so good so early on that he's going to have a chance to win and win big for many, many years. Brady is, and what they've done, that's a dynasty. What the Cowboys did in the early 90s, that's a dynasty. You know, you win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, that's a dynasty. That's to me what constitutes a dynasty. It's so rare because if you win 3 out of 4, that means you won back-to-back chips. Who's doing that? Nobody's done that since the Patriots in 01, 03, and 04. So you're not winning 3 out of 4 anymore. Like, that's unheard of. So I'm trying to think, did the Patriots do it again? They beat the Falcons in 16. They lost to the Eagles in 17. They beat the Rams in 18. They didn't win it in 19, though. So that was the Chiefs in 19 and then Tampa Bay in 20. So, no, they didn't do it 3 out of 4, but they came dangerously close to winning 3 in a row. If they beat the Eagles, they win 3 Super Bowls straight. If they won 2 out of 3. But 3 out of 4 is a dynasty. In order to do that, you've either got to have a young quarterback, prime of his career, with a team around him that can win and win big in that period of time, or you've got to have a veteran quarterback with a good 5-6 years left in the tank, ready to win now, with a roster ready to win now. We would probably be closer to the latter of those two choices. A roster ready to win with a veteran quarterback that's got 4 or 5 years. Like Aaron Rodgers would be perfect for us. But that's not where we are. You know, we got Ryan Fitzpatrick. We don't have Aaron Rodgers. We don't have Matthew Stafford. We got Ryan Fitzpatrick. So the likelihood is that we try to draft a quarterback. But again, I've said this already. It's so hard to make a definitive statement as to where we will be this time next year. What if Ryan Fitzpatrick plays his ass off, leads us to the divisional round, and we lose by a late field goal, and you're like, shit, run it back. We could be feeling that way next year. Run it back with Fitz. We could be sitting here next year, and Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson's situation is cleared up, and Washington is interested, all right, and he could be on the market. You could have another veteran out there that is a really good quarterback available that we didn't think would be available. I mean, we see these things happen well, I shouldn't say all the time. We saw it happen this last offseason. Doesn't mean it's going to happen again. But precedence has been set. So we don't know who's going to be available next offseason. We don't even know who the quarterbacks in college football coming into the league that we're going to be hyped about are going to be. We don't know where we're going to be drafting and if we'll be able to get our hands on one of those guys. Will we have to trade up to get one of those guys? Just know this. If you get the young quarterback, you're not winning right away with that young quarterback. Unless that guy comes in the league and right away is Mahomes. Do you know how rare it is to get you a Mahomes? You know how rare that is? Even Justin Herbert last year was phenomenal. Phenomenal. They won like 6 games. Okay? They won like 5 or 6 games. Young quarterbacks rarely come in the league. And truth be told, normally a young quarterback comes into a bad situation. Usually. If we draft a young quarterback, even if we're ready to win, that young quarterback may not be ready to win. Now, he may be ready to win 3-4 years from now, but maybe the roster isn't ready to win then. Maybe the roster has turned over and it's different players and we're not the same roster that we once were. That's why the window of opportunity is now, and that's why Ron tried to go get Matthew Stafford. That's why I think Ron, picked up the phone and called the Packers just to inquire what's going on over there. There's nothing to see here. Okay, I'll try back again later maybe. That's why Ron probably inquired about Deshaun Watson, when before all of the sexual, harassment stuff came into play and sexual misconduct and assault and all of that stuff, whatever it is. So Ron knew, man, we're ahead of schedule. Didn't expect to win the division. Granted, 7-9 doesn't matter. We've got these guys believing now. Don't stop believing. They got them believing now. Hell, he got us believing. We over here talking crazy. I'm talking about it. We're a quarterback away from potentially contending for a chip. When the hell have you ever heard me talking about contending for anything other than the NFC East? And whether that's 10-6, 11-5, 9-7, or 8-8, when the hell have you heard me talking about anything other than trying to win the division? The answer is never. Because I haven't, because we've never been in that position before. The last time we were even remotely close was 2012. And we had a compromised Griffin, but I'll tell you what, we were up 14-0 against the Seahawks, and they had no answer for the offense. And Griffin was stroking it. And then he got hurt. And shit went downhill from there. I don't think we would have beaten the 49ers that year, but I do think the next week on the road at Atlanta, a team that we had played in the regular season that year, and Robert got knocked out of that game with a concussion, and Kirk Cousins came in and threw a late interception, and we ultimately lost that game. I do think we could have gone to Atlanta and beat them in 2012. I do feel that way. Russell Wilson, the very next week, on the road against the Falcons, had them on the ropes, and Matt Ryan had to have this miracle final drive to get him in the field goal range to beat rookie Russell Wilson in the divisional round. So, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Who knows what the hell would happen? The 49ers defensively that year were lights out. And when Griffin compromised, I think they would have kicked his ass, personally. But I would have loved to have seen it in the NFC Championship game. And I think we could have gotten there. But that's nor here nor there. That's the last time I was able to talk crazy and reckless. I'm talking crazy and reckless slightly now, but I'm not all in. You know why. I've already told you why. I'm not all in on this team. Can't be. So a dynasty is a word I'm not comfortable throwing around. Not comfortable throwing that D word around. But what I can tell you is that if you want to win and you want to win now, and you want to win big, you go veteran quarterback. That's the guy that's going to give you the best chance to win right now. An established veteran that's good, that can come in right away, pick up the offense, and elevate the play of others around him. That's why we went after Matthew Stafford. That's why we went after, that's why Aaron Rodgers is so enticing. The real likelihood of that happening, I think, is low. It's not slim and none. I think it's low that we land someone here in Washington. I think the more plausible outcome for this team is you draft a guy. And I think that's going to happen next year. I firmly believe. I told you I didn't think they were going to draft a guy this year. Because Ron said this was a 4-year plan. I think we're ahead of schedule. I think he feels like, had we gotten the right quarterback, we could push all our chips to the middle of the table and go after it right now. But that didn't happen. Now we're going to see what we can do. We're going to continue to build this roster. And I think they're going to try to drop the quarterback in the middle. They're going to build this thing up the best possible way they can. They've already somewhat done that already. and then they're gonna go. I think they're gonna go all in for the quarterback next year. If there's a guy that they love, I think they're gonna go all in on the quarterback next year. I do. So we'll see what happens. Got another super chat. This one is from Feel the Pain, Young Man. Thank you for the super chat, Feel the Pain, Young Man, who writes, since Ron got hired and drafted Chase, Washington is a totally different team. Chase Young is a different animal. Chase Young is a part of the puzzle, but I wouldn't make a direct correlation between Chase Young being drafted and this team just getting better. Keep in mind, we went 7-9. We didn't go 9-7 last year. That said, Chase Young has definitely changed the energy level of this football team. He's brought a different, as you mentioned, he's a different animal, so he's brought a different life to this defense. You know, having Montez Sweat was cool. Having Chase Young and Montez Sweat, that's different. That hits different. So I think he's brought a different level of swag to this team. I think he's brought a different level of energy. I think he has also brought a little bit more validity to this defense. But to give him, you know, a lion's share of the credit along with Ron, I think would be foolish. I think Ron coming in obviously is the biggest change in why we feel, you know, the way we do about this team, which is a lot better about the future. Ron gets most of the credit for that, if not all of it. And then I think you start to look at some of the players, and Chase would be one of those guys for sure. But Ron gets the lion's share of the credit because, you know, we could have drafted Chase Young and we could have had Kevin O'Connell be our head coach. It probably wouldn't hit the same. Let's be honest, you know. A lot of you advocated for Kevin O'Connell to get the job. Not the offensive coordinator job, the head coach job. You thought he was that good, and you thought him working with Dwayne was going to make a difference, so you wanted him to get the head job. You didn't want him to get away like Sean McVay did, so why even beat around the bush? Just give him the head job. There were some of you out there that felt that way. Not a lot of you, but there were some of you out there that felt that way. Most of you wanted him to be retained as the offensive coordinator. But Chase has been a difference maker for sure. But so has the growth of Montez Sweat. You know, so has the growth of Cole Holcomb. So has the growth of Terry McLaurin. So has the growth of Antonio Gibson. All of these guys were phenomenal last year and huge parts of this football team. And we think they're going to be massive parts of this team moving forward. Building blocks, foundational pieces, even. So, yeah, Chase gets some credit. But, you know, most of it goes to Ron. Chase gets a little some. But it's a collaborative effort when you start talking about players. You know, Chase is just a piece of the puzzle. He's got a chance, though, to be difference making. He's got a chance to be in that elite class of defenders in this league that you have to game plan to stop each and every single week. And if you don't, he's going to wreck your offense. And once he turns into that kind of a guy, like an Aaron Donald, like a Myles Garrett, once he turns into one of those guys, J.J. Watt, you know, T.J. Watt even, as he's starting to morph into one of those dudes, then that's when we can say, yeah, Chase is he's one of the reasons why we're where we're at. But we're not there yet. But, I mean, part of the reason Ron took the job is because he knew he was going to have a chance to draft Chase Young. Don't fool yourself. So, yeah, Chase is definitely a different animal, for sure. Tony P56 Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Tony P56, writes, hey, Lou. What up, Tony? He says, how's life? Man, I'm hanging. Can't call it. Enjoying life. Hopefully everything is going well with you. He says, use your code on my Manscaped order. I'm from DC area and was stationed at Langley. I know all about the 7 cities. Ron's plan. Thank you for the usage of the promo code in purchasing some of Manscaped's product. I really do appreciate that, Tony P. Thank you for using the promo code as you mentioned. And you were stationed in Langley. A lot of people, if you're military, you got a taste of the 7 cities, you know, because we got a ton of military bases in the 7 cities. That's one of the reasons that the area is big. It's a very big transient area because of the military. So many people come through VA in the 7 cities at some point. So you got a little taste of the DMV and the 7 cities. That's dope. I'm trying to get my little taste of the DMV area. I haven't gotten that yet. And I had somebody tell me the other day that the DMV, like the V part of DMV, it really starts at Prince. I think they said Prince William. I think Prince William is what he said. So if that's the case, I'm not even close. Which I told you, I feel like I'm really far away from the city. So I can't wait till, you know, and COVID is we're starting to move on from that, but you know, obviously there are different strains and different things going on, but I can't wait till things really open back up so I can get into the city and really experience DC. But thank you for that super chat, Tony P56. Ron's plan for sure. Also got another super chat. This one is from Tony P56. My guy, Tony P56. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Tony P56. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Tony P56 writes, Lou, I know everybody's going to hate me, but is it me or Chase Young overrated? I see the stats and the big plays. You just answered your own question. If you see the stats and the big plays, there shouldn't be a but. But of course, there's a but. But, in my opinion, his every down play is suspect. Thoughts? So, here's the thing. No player makes an impact on every single snap. Can't happen. It won't happen. Even Aaron Donald doesn't impact every snap of every game. You're going to get double teamed. You're going to get triple teamed in certain instances if you're that good, which Chase Young is. So here's his impact. You just said it yourself. I see the stats and big plays. Well, if you see those two things, then why are we having this discussion? But if you want to take it a step further, his impact is also felt on plays where he's not impacting the game from a physical standpoint. But if they're divulging and they're taking two offensive players, whether it be two offensive linemen, a tackle and a tight end, or a tackle and a running back, or three players, and they're using them on Chase Young, that's altering the offense's game plan. You think they want to take a tight end and keep him in the block, or you think they'd rather have him go out on the route? You think they'd rather have that running back stay in and block or chip on the way out, or you think they'd rather just have him get out into the route combination? You think that him being double teamed, that now they're going to be able to double team somebody else? You only have so many blockers you can have blocking on any given play if you want to have enough receivers out in the route. So if they're double teaming Chase Young, that means everyone else has a one-on-one matchup more likely than not. Somebody else needs to win. He's impacting the game. He's freeing up other guys to have opportunities to win. They got to win. So even when you don't see his impact, he's still having an impact. But you just said it yourself. I see the big plays. Well, why are we having this guy? How is he overrated? If you see the man scooping up a fumble with one hand and holding the ball like a loaf of bread as he's hauling ass down the sidelines in a game in which the offense doesn't score a touchdown, why are we having this discussion? If you see him having a monster game in his very first NFL contest where he gets a sack and a half, forces a fumble, and helps Washington score 27 unanswered points against the Eagles, why are we having this conversation? He's worth the price of admission. You know, I'll just say this to people like you who feel like he's overrated. He just came off of a rookie season in which he had 7.5 sacks, impacted the game, tackle for loss wise in a major way, had a scoop and score touchdown on a fumble forced by Daron Payne. He forced a fumble or 2 or 3 in multiple games himself. But I just wanted to get you to understand that in their first years, let's go through a couple of the better edge rushers in the league. Because if I'm not mistaken, Khalil Mack only had 4.5 sacks his rookie season. Let's look at Khalil Mack's stats from his rookie season. And we're going to go through 3 guys in particular. Khalil Mack, 4 sacks in his first season. You know how many he had in his second year? 15. Okay? If you're that guy, you'll figure it out. Okay? 15 in his second season. All right, let's go to Myles Garrett. I think Myles Garrett had a similar type of rookie season, like 7.5 sacks or something like that in his rookie season. Let's see. 7 in his rookie season. You know how many he had the second year? 13.5. Okay? Let's go to Von Miller. I think Von came out the gate swinging. But let's just see. For shits and giggles, let's just see what Von Miller did right out the gate. He had 11.5 right out of the gate. All right, Von was smoking right out of the gate. Let's go to one more guy. All right, let's go to J.J. Watt. You know what? We'll go to 2 more guys. J.J. Watt, he's more of an interior guy, but still, we know what he's done in the league. First year, 5.5 sacks for J.J. Watt. You know what he had in his second year? 20.5 sacks. Okay, let's go to Aaron Donald. This will be the last one. I don't need to keep doing this. Let's go to Aaron Donald's stats. See what he did in his first season in the league. 9 sacks. So right there where Chase Young is. He had 11 his second year. So I said all of that to say this. You don't come in the league and just dominate a lot of times. There's a lot of adjustments that have to be made. Speed of the game, physicality of the tackles and offensive linemen that are blocking you, their athleticism. You didn't see this kind of athleticism playing in college football, and all kinds of elaborate schemes to block you. You know, in college, they've got these cockamamie schemes, so it's easy for guys to get confused or nobody to block you at all. So you get a couple of freebies. You ain't getting any freebies in the NFL. You know, guys know who they're supposed to block, and so there's an adjustment period. Trust me. When he figures it out, he didn't figure out shit last year. And he said he was playing injured. Okay? Said he tweaked. Remember, we talked about this in camp last year. He tweaked his hip. Sat out of a practice. We got nervous. Left practice early, didn't practice the next day. He was like, oh shit, here we go. And then he came back. But he never fully recovered. And then remember, if you remember, he didn't play pretty much in that Browns game in week 3. Got hurt. Him and Ioannidis got hurt very early in that game. Young didn't play the following week against Baltimore, if you recall. So, and he said that the hip that he tweaked had something to do with his groin that he ultimately hurt in the season. Neither of them, and a person that can attest to a groin injury during this a football season, That shit doesn't go away until you're able to actually rest up and let it heal. You just play with it. It's not fun. He's healthier. He's a year smarter and wiser. And he's still learning. That year 2 leap, I think, is going to be insane. Just like the ones we just talked about. Khalil Mack from 4 to 15. You know, J.J. Watt from, I don't think it's going to be J.J. Watt-esque, from 5, I think he was 5 to, 20 and a half his second year. I don't think it's going to be that. But expect double-digit sacks. Bunch of tackles for loss. Chase Young was so good last year. I don't know, and I reckon that you're not watching film. I assume that you're not watching film. He's so good. He was so good last year. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for the super chat, Tony P. You're not going to get any hate. Hate. At least not from me. I'm just going to try to set the record straight. That's all. Got another super chat. This one is from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, Metaphor. Thank you for the 4th super chat of the night. Writes, you all in, Lou? Buckled in, ready to ride or die? I don't know about the die part, but I'm definitely ready to ride. I put my seatbelt buckle inside. Now I'm definitely ready to ride. I don't know about dying, man. If I see this shit is about to go down in a wreck, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. But I told you, I got the seatbelt on. You tell me we're crashing, I'm getting out. But I told you that. I know, like, we knew Jay Gruden was getting. I knew Jay was on borrowed time. The car was about to crash. I'm like, hey, Jay, bro, man, it's been real, man. We had some crazy nights. Man, you remember the night in Philadelphia when we clinched the division? Oh, man, that shit was epic. We had some nights, man. But this shit is going down, Jay. And I can't be here when it does. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, man. I'm going to glide to the side. You know, you can see when it's happening. Hey, Mike, 2012 was off the hook, bruh. Man, that was some fun. You remember Thanksgiving? We went to Dallas. Oh, man. That was so much fun. What about when Dallas came to Washington in week 17? What about the Giants on a Monday night in week 16? Like, these are crazy. These were crazy nights, Mike. But in 2013, at the end of that season, I was like, hey, Mike, bro, love you to death, man. You got to drop me off here at the next stop. Because this shit is over, man. You got to let me out. I'm not getting out. I already told you I'm not getting out. I'm riding with Ron. I'm riding until the wheels fall off. And that's when I'm like, all right, I got to get out. So I don't know about the die part. But I put my buckle inside. I'm ready to ride. Let's do it. I already told y'all that from the jump. Thank you for the super chat. King of the North. My guy, King of the North, thank you for your 3rd super chat of the night. Greatly appreciate you. King of the North writes. Not King of the North, King in the North writes. Still waiting on my That's Nor Here Nor There shirt, or double up, or I said all of that to say this, or a wise man once told me. It's a wise man once said, or a wise woman once told me. So, yeah, a wise man once told me. I do say that too. I say all kinds of things. You forgot I digress. Any of those could be on a shirt. And one day, they ultimately may be on a shirt. On one shirt, or separate shirts. Who knows? Thank you for the super chat, King in the North. Really do appreciate you. Got another super chat. This one is from Tony P56. Thank you for tripling up, Tony P56. 56, greatly appreciate you, who writes, where is the rest of your... Where is the rest of your mustache? So, I have a deficient portion of my mustache right here. So, part of me trying to let my hair grow is so that I can hopefully fill it out. So, this portion of my mustache comes in really, really light. When I get it edged up, you see it good, but I haven't had it edge up in ages. So it just looks really, really light. And it's really like that on both sides, truthfully be told. Like, I had somebody say, hey man, shut the hell up. Like, somebody was trolling me. Shut the hell up with your Hitler mustache. I told you, I don't get offended by stuff, really. You know, I laugh about a lot of stuff. I like to laugh. Somebody told me I had a Hitler mustache. What am I going to say? My shit is light on both sides, man. I mean, what am I supposed to say? So, all I can do was laugh. So, yeah, I mean, it's growing in. It's gotten a lot thicker. It used to be way worse. But I still got a long ways to go, man. So, look, I'm coachable, man. I'm coachable. I'm learning. But it takes time, man. It takes time. Thank you for the super chat, Tony P56. Oh, man. I got another super chat. This one is from Jake Hutton. My guy, Jake, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jake Hutty writes, how many more years do you think Ron will be here in D.C.? If I'm not mistaken, he signed a 5-year deal. Thoughts on if he gets an extension after this year if we ball out Ron's plan? So, no, they're not going to give him an extension after just 2 years. If you signed a 5-year deal, you wouldn't be talking extension with Ron until after year 3. So, if Ron continues on this upward trajectory, going into year 4, that's when you would work on a proverbial, extension, something to keep him here longer. You don't ever, if you trust a coach, if you love a coach, you don't ever want that guy going into the final year of his deal. We call that a lame duck season. The reason you don't want to do that is because it's hard to hire staff. It's similar to college. It's not quite the same, but it's similar to college sports in where if I'm a recruit and you got 1 year left on your deal as a head coach, because in college guys get ridiculous deals. Like, it's a 10-year deal for this guy. This guy signed a 15-year contract. That shit don't mean the paper that it's on in college. You can sign a 15-year deal with this school, and next year a big Power 5 school comes calling and they got 2 times the money you signed for. You're like, I know I signed a 15-year deal and I got 14 more years left, but it's Texas. How do I turn that down? And they're giving me this big pot of money. Sorry, I gotta go. But it's hard to recruit in college. If I'm a 15, 16-year-old, you're recruiting me and you got a year left, why the hell would I come to your program? You might not even be there by the time I get to school. Worst thing to do that you can do as a college athlete is commit somewhere, and the guy that recruited you, that sold you a dream on why you needed to come to this program in the first place, is no longer there. Same thing with players in free agency. Same thing with different coaches on staff that you may want to recruit. If I'm a coach and, it doesn't matter how badly I want back in the league, you got a 1-year deal. I'm not moving my family to D.C. for 1 year for you to get canned and the whole staff to get fired. That's essentially what happened to Jay Gruden. He left here, he took a job in Jacksonville. 1 year, he was in Jacksonville. He's like, man, the only, upside to coming to Jacksonville, I got to play golf every day. But, it was 1 year. Sucked that I was only here for a year. And free agents, I'm looking at the coach and I'm saying, hey, you got a 1 year deal? You selling me a bill of goods right now, but you may not be here when I come to collect those bill of goods. So, you don't worry about a coach after year 2 of a 5-year deal, because things could still go south. After year 3, if you still believe in that coach, that's when you sign him to an extension and you tack on an additional 3 years. And so it's like a brand new 5-year contract. The 2 that he had remaining and an additional 3 that you added on. But coach, this is the thing. You don't ever want to have too many years on a coach's contract, because there may come a time where you have to fire that guy. Unlike players, coaches' contracts are guaranteed. So if you sign a guy to a 5-year deal and after 3 years you fire him, you're still paying that guy for 2 more additional years. No, Daniel Snyder hates paying coaches money that's not here. That's why he tried to get Jim Zorn to quit. That's why they did everything in their power, including bringing the bingo caller in and all kinds of nonsense that they were doing to him. They tried to get him to quit. But Jim Zorn, he wasn't quitting. That was the most money he had ever seen in his life. He wasn't quitting. You're going to pay me this money. You're going to fire me and you're going to pay me my money. So, no, he's not getting an extension. How long do I think he's going to be here? Obviously, time will tell. It's hard to say after just 1 year. I mean, he could follow up that 7-9 this year with 11-6 and another playoff berth. And then the next 2 years after that, we could be 7-10 and 6-11. And then what are you saying about Ron? So it's hard to say right now. I envision Ron being here for a very long time. Why? Because Ron was and is currently a major player in the reconstruction of this organization's image. You heard the 2 lawyers talk about the importance of what Ron Rivera has meant to this organization and their re-imaging and their rebranding. He talked about Jason Wright and Ron Rivera as 2 major players and why they feel really good about where this organization is and why the punishment wasn't even more severe than what it ultimately was. It's because they believe in Ron Rivera and they believe in Jason Wright. So Ron, to me, is an integral part of this organization moving forward until he decides he doesn't want to be, or his performance as the coach of this team decides that he shouldn't be. So I can't see a situation here in Washington that doesn't involve Ron Rivera for the next, call it a decade, honestly. But we're so far removed from that. Let's just take it 1 year at a time. He's going to be here this year. He's going to be here next year. And more likely than not, the year after that. I'd give him a minimum of 4 years in Washington. But I can't see him. He didn't do a poor job in Carolina. I told you when he got fired, I thought that was an injustice. And that simply, I can tell you right now, if their old owner, the perv, Jerry Richardson, didn't get ousted as owner, he would still be in Carolina right now. The only reason Ron Rivera is no longer in Carolina is because they got a new owner in David Tepper, excuse me. And he wanted his own guy. His views on how things work were vastly different than that of Ron Rivera. Tepper's more of an analytics guy. He wanted somebody that, kind of thought in the same way that he did. Ron didn't fit that bill. Ron's an old school guy. And so, Cam gets injured. The season goes to hell in a handbasket, even though Kyle Allen came in and gave them a spark for a little while. It was short-lived, and Ron paid the price for it. So their loss is our gain. And I don't see Ron going anywhere anytime soon. Ron's plan. Thank you for the super chat, Jake Hutton. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Your 5th of the night. Really appreciate you. My guy Metaphor writes, don't sweat the hype. We just can't settle for the East. Bring the pain and chase the chip. I like what you did there. Okay? Don't sweat the hype. We can't just settle for the East. Bring the pain and chase the chip. I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you for the super chat. Metaphor. I saw somebody just bring up the Chase Young hit on Joe Burrow at the 1 yard line to force the fumble. You could argue that was the turning point of the season. Think about it. The week before, we just had the excruciating loss to the Lions. That piggybacked off of the excruciating loss the week before against the Giants, in which we lost Kyle Allen for the season, and Alex Smith tried to rally us, but ended up throwing like 3 picks in the game. So back-to-back gut-wrenching losses. You're heading in the wrong direction. You are struggling with a 1-win Cincinnati. I think they were a 2-win team at that time. Cincinnati Bengals team. They're giving us everything we could ask for at that point of the game. They get a touchdown there. I believe the score at the time of that hit, because I think that was the game they struggled to get in the end zone. And I want to say the score might have been like 6-0. Maybe it was 7-6. They scored that touchdown. It's a totally different game. But he mollywops Joe Burrow. Ball comes out. We recover. The rest is history. We win that game. Obviously, Burrow gets hurt. That's a huge part of that game as well. But we win that game. Excuse me. We go on to throttle Dallas the following week. We take that momentum and we get the 49ers win with all defense. And we take that momentum and we find a way to unseat the final undefeated team in the league, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in Pittsburgh after trailing 14-0 in that ballgame. You could argue that was the turning point of the season. So Chase Young, overrated? Not hardly. Not even close. Anyway, I digress. Tanner Austin, thank you for tripling up. Really do appreciate you. My guy, Tanner Austin, writes, why do you think we never have the big dominant possession receiver? That hard to come by, or is it better to just be deep with guys who do their job? It's just about drafting. You got to find that guy with a dog mentality that when the ball's in the air, it's mine. Honestly, in the last decade, we've only had one dog essentially like that. That's Pierre Garçon. It didn't matter if a guy was draped on Pierre's back on 3rd and 6. Pierre was going to catch the football, and he was going to muscle that guy for the extra yard that we needed to get 7 and move the sticks. He had a dog mentality, and he attacked the football like a 6'3", 220-pound receiver, not a 6 foot, 205-pound receiver, which he was essentially. So, it's a mentality. Just because you're big doesn't mean you're going to be a stud. We've seen a bunch of big softies come through the league, guys that are 6'5", barely 200 pounds. We've seen guys that are 6'5", 215, but they just don't have that mentality. We've seen guys that are 6'5", 25, but, they might have that mentality, but they can't separate, and they don't have enough athleticism, a la Kelvin Benjamin. Big frame, 6'5", 240. Too damn fat, though. Too big. Not athletic enough to separate. Guys are right in your hip pocket. I don't care how big you are. If a guy is right there, the quarterbacks can't throw the football to you, even with the massive catch radius. So, for whatever reason, we haven't been able to find that guy. We've tried. We drafted Leonard Hankerson. We drafted Josh Doctson. We've tried to get some of these guys that are bigger receivers that are supposed to be able to go up and possess the football. Just hasn't worked. We drafted Malcolm Kelly, Devin Thomas. These are all big 6'2", 6'3" receivers. We just drafted AGG. Jury's still out on him. You know, we drafted Kelvin Harmon, got injured last year. I mean, we just haven't been able to do it for whatever reason, you know. Got Cam Sims now too. We'll see how he pans out, but he doesn't strike me as a big possession receiver. I see him as a finesse receiver in a 6'5" frame. That's what I see him as. Like, I don't see him as a big body boy, get off me type of rebound, box you out, go get the rock, like a Michael Thomas type of dude. You know, I don't see Cam Sims as a back shoulder fade. I call them back shoulder bullies, BSBs. I don't see him as that. Where a dude is right there, you turn it, you pivot, you post up, quarterback throws it to the outside shoulder near the out of bounds line, and you just put a dude on your back hip, say, hey, this ain't for you. That rock right there, that ain't for you. Stay back there. Watch out. Bad back. That ain't who he is. Like Des Bryant was that dude. Big, physical. How many times he'd run to the goal line and Tony Romo would just throw it at his back shoulder and he'd turn towards the pylon and just box a dude out. Didn't run no route. Just synergy between quarterback and receiver and a guy that just simply had that BSB game. Back shoulder bully. Back up, man. Do you see that right there? That rock right there? That's not for you. That's not for you. That's not yours. Hands off. Touchdown. For whatever reason, we haven't been able to get it right. One of these days we will. But our time hasn't come yet. And you know what you also need to make that work is you also need a quarterback that can actually deliver those things. We got one now in Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he'll throw a trust ball over there, give you a shot as a baller. So we got a guy that'll give guys opportunities to make plays if you can make plays. Do we have the guys to make plays? Do we have those dudes? I don't know if there's a single dog on the receiver that's big. I don't know if we got any of those. Terry's a dog, but he's a little dog. He got a hell of a bite, but he's a little dog. I'm talking about one of them dogs that you like, man, I ain't going in that backyard, man. You seen the dog? Man, there's a big-ass dog back there. You don't even know if that dog is harmless or if he's a beast or what. But you like, look, he big as shit. I'm not going back there. We don't have one of those. So, I'd like to get one. Would I prefer one of those guys or just receivers that do their job? Honestly, it doesn't really matter. You can have a 5'11 dude. You can have a 5'8 receiver. I don't really care what size the beast is. I just give me dogs. Give me dudes that will eat whenever, wherever. Give me guys that are dogs, that are dudes that I can take anywhere, anytime, and I know they're going to perform. The lights and the stage, never too bright. That's why I give me 5 Terrys. I'm good. Terry is 6 feet tall. Give me 5 Terrys. I'll roll with that. Give me 5 of those. He's a dog. The question is, does he have any other dogs that's willing to go and ride with him? I don't think Curtis Samuel is a dog. We're going to find out about Diami. I can tell you this. I was watching some more Carolina tape. And one of the knocks on Diami Brown for me, if you go back and watch my breakdown of him, there's some drops on tape. And I was watching the running backs because I've been breaking down some more film of these other drafts for these other teams because they, you know, both of their running backs got drafted, Michael Carter and Williams, Javonte Williams. They got drafted. So I'm watching more Carolina tape, and I watched him drop a deep ball right in the breadbasket. We gonna have some drops with Diami this year that's gonna piss you the hell off. He gonna make some plays too. But it's gonna be a drop or two in there where you gonna, come on, Diami, man, catch the goddamn ball. Do we got another dog on the roster at receiver? I don't know. I don't care how big you are. Santana Moss was a dog. He was all of 5'8", 5'9". I don't give a shit how big you are. So to answer your question, give me guys that do their job. But I'm not looking for dudes that just do their job. Ryan Grant did his job. Sometimes. I'm not looking for Ryan Grants. I'm looking for dogs. I'm looking for dudes that's always starving, that always want to eat. They never satisfied. Stomach is always growling. I want those guys. Looking to bless somebody at all times. Achoo! Bless you. I know we got one. Do we have two? Do we have three? Do I hear a third? Do I hear a fourth? We're going to find out. But it'd be nice to have a big receiver that you could throw it up to in the end zone, you know, and say, hey, go get this, man. Or you 40 yards down the field, your quarterback's running for his life. He just sees one-on-one 40 yards down and just flings it up. And you got a 6'4", 6'5" guy that can just go put his nutsack on somebody's helmet. Like a DK Metcalf. That's always nice and fun. We don't have that guy. And we usually don't have that guy. Like, I have zero confidence that if Cam Sims is one-on-one down the field and he's just standing there and it's him and a defender and they waiting for the ball, I have zero confidence that he's going to go elevate and just take the rock from somebody and say, get your little ass down, man. This is top shelf. You stay down there with that well liquor, man. It's top shelf up here. You don't know nothing about this. Zero confidence he's going to get that. Logan Thomas, on the other hand, showed us in that Philadelphia game, hey, I can go top shelf. I can go up there and get it if I have to. But he's a tight end. Won't have no receivers like that, though. AGG is supposed to be that guy. He's making some crazy catches in camp. I don't know if you've seen him. I've seen 2 already. He's making some crazy grabs. If he can stay healthy, maybe he's the guy. I loved him coming out of Liberty. I haven't jumped ship. Y'all, a lot of y'all quit that man already. Giving up on him. He's ass. Hell, Chris Cooley's even said he's ass. Get rid of him. I can't give up on him yet. Not after a red shirt freshman season. I want to see him play. He looked lost and confused out there. No OTAs, no preseason. He looked lost. Did you expect him to be anything but lost? Spent half of the training camp injured? Did you expect him to be anything but lost? I mean, I want to see what he's got. So, to answer your question, you could be deep with guys that do their job, but I don't want guys that just do their job. Doing your job is cool. You know? The Patriots' motto is, do your job. That's great. Everybody does their job to the best of their abilities, and you got a team full of studs, you'll win a lot of games. But I'm looking for the guys that are looking to go above and beyond the call of duty. Yeah, your job on this play is to double team and come off the double team and get to the linebacker as a guard. Get to the linebacker. Double team the defensive end, come off the double team, get to the backer. But the run springs, all right? The run springs, and you got a chance to get a piece of the safety now. A 3-for-1 special. Are you going to just do your, hey, I did my job. I came off the double team. I got to the linebacker. Did my job. Or are you going to go that extra mile to get just a smidge of the safety? That's all it takes. Now that running back's able to get down the sideline and score. You just took a good play for 17 yards and you turned it into a 70-yard touchdown. Just because of that little extra effort. You didn't just do your job. You went above and beyond the call of duty. I want guys that are willing to do that little extra. I think we got a team full of those dudes. Selfless, willing to do whatever. We'll see. Rob you. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Rob you. Thank you. Who writes, what up, Lou? What up, Rob you? Why not move Cole Holcomb to middle linebacker? He's fast, he has cover skills, and good instincts. I mean, that was something that I questioned last year before they drafted Jamin Davis. But last year they needed him at strong side backer because if they moved him from strong side, then who were they going to put there? By moving him to middle linebacker, you're weakening essentially one position for the other. Now, middle linebacker arguably is more important than, strong side backer, but you couldn't take John Bostic and stick him at strong side backer, which is probably what they would have ultimately have done. He can't run with any tight ends. So I think they thought to themselves, his speed is best utilized where it was. So now they got Jamin Davis. He doesn't need to be the middle linebacker. They got even more speed, even though, as I've mentioned to you, you don't always see Jamin Davis running at 4.37 on the field, or 4.41 for that matter, whatever it is. The thing is, last year he was learning. This year he's going to be learning. You won't see that pure speed until he gets it. You'll see it on certain plays where he doesn't have to think, just go. Whether he's blitzing, his job is to just blitz, or it's a run to the outside and he can just shoot his gun. But when he's thinking, it's going to slow him down. The minute he gets it, and he doesn't have to think anymore, he's going to be dangerous. So they got more speed. The key is just keep adding speed. You can never have enough of it. They added more speed. Holcomb's going to be fine where he is now. They may even, decide to move him to, Will. But right now, I think they were really happy with what they got out of Cole Holcomb last year as a Sam, and I think they're going to keep him there. Thank you for the super chat, Rob. You got another one here from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. My guy, Metaphor, with his 6th of the night windshield wiping. Really do appreciate you. Writes, more money for some just for men to darken up that stash. Hey, y'all gonna leave my mustache alone, man. Y'all gonna leave my stash alone, man. It ain't do nothing to nobody, man. And y'all boys out here shooting them up, man. He trying, man. He fighting out here. He fighting a good fight, man. Let him fight. All right. I tell you what. When I get the edge up, the line down here will really accentuate the little bit of hair that I do have there. But until then, it's all of this. This was what makes it worse. All of this hair is so much of it is so dark, and then it's just thin out here. And he fighting, man. He fighting a good fight, and I appreciate the effort that he's giving me. So, and I appreciate you, even though I'm not going to use your super chat for just for men. I appreciate you. Got another super chat. This one is from Tony P56. Thank you for the super chat, Tony P56, your 4th of the night. My guy, Tony P, writes, overhyped is a better term versus overrated. Yeah, because there was a lot of hype surrounding Chase Young, and I was guilty because I told you, and I told you guys at the beginning, I didn't expect him to have double-digit sacks. And I kept referencing Khalil Mack and J.J. Watt and some of the guys that started off with, meager numbers and then elevated to astronomical numbers. And I said, I don't expect him to come onto the scene because he's going to get double and triple teamed. And he did. And that was without knowing about the injury that he was going to sustain ultimately. Didn't know that when I was saying that I expected him. Remember, I told you initially I thought Montez Sweat was going to lead the team in sacks. Then I waffled. As we got closer to the season, I got excited. And I switched to Chase Young. And I started putting more coal in the engine and hyping up the hype train. So I was partly guilty for that as well. But that said, he says, I love Chase. I watch his film. I hope he gets 15 sacks. I've reserved fandom. Mustache on life support. You are killing the stash tonight. You were the one that brought it up in the first place. All right? He's not on a breathing tube. He's got a lot of life. All right. He just doesn't have as much strength in his arms or his legs. So, he's got a lot of life though, but he's got a lot of heart. That's what's right here in the middle. Heart. So, he ain't on life support. As far as reserving your fandom on Chase, that's fine. Absolutely. You are definitely welcome to doing that. And a lot of people want to make players earn it. Don't want to, and that's what you should do. Some players come with more fanfare and hype than others because of what they were able to do with the collegiate ranks. He's one of those guys. And if you weren't overly impressed, okay, I got you. Chase will show you better than he can tell you. And that's what we all want. We want Chase to prove it to guys like you that need to see more. And we're betting on the fact that he will. So, thank you for the super chat, Tony P56. Leave my mustache alone. Okay? Leave my guy out of it. Rob U. Thank you for the super chat. Rob U. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Rob U. Greatly appreciate you, Rob U. As always, who writes, you think we're going to sign another linebacker before the season, though? Unless we get to the final cut downs around the league and there's a guy or two that get, that's a surprise cut, or there's a player that they really liked, a year or two ago in the draft that gets cut, and they say, hey, this is our opportunity to pounce on this guy. We really liked him coming out of XYZ, or, man, we didn't expect him to get cut. We could really use this guy, but our roster is going to, this isn't the same roster that we've had in past years where at the end of camp, at the end of the preseason, we're looking to scrounge and salvage players off of other teams' rosters. We're not scavenger hunting anymore. Our roster is loaded. We don't even have enough space to keep some of the guys we want to keep. Now, with that said, could we use an upgrade or two at the linebacker position? You damn right. And so that wouldn't require getting rid of a player. That would just require replacing one of the linebackers that are currently on the roster with somebody else that's out there. I.e. Mayo. David Mayo is on this roster and more likely than not going to make this football team. If a better middle linebacker appears, see you later, David Mayo. Get rid of his ass and bring that guy in, for sure. But highly unlikely at this point. They're comfortable with Mayo. Rivera knows him from his days in Carolina. They drafted him in Carolina out of Texas State. I don't think he's going anywhere. But could they add another linebacker? I don't see them adding a linebacker, but I could see them replacing one of the linebackers we currently have on the roster. But to add a linebacker would mean you're taking away a roster spot from another position, which I frankly don't think we're in a position to do. We're so stacked that we're going to probably have to cut a guy or two off of the roster that we would like to keep. So, no, I don't think we add a linebacker, but there is the potential for us to replace a linebacker on this roster. Thank you for the super chat, Rob U. Got another one from my guy, Rob U. Third of the night, my guy, Rob U, tripling up, who writes, we know Settle is gone after this year. Trade value, not significant. You can't expect a lot for a player on the last year of their deal unless that player is a star. And they know that guy is going to re-sign with them. A case in point would be, really, you don't see it very often. You don't see guys getting traded in the last year of their deal. It's usually the year before. Like, for instance, Jalen Ramsey with the Rams. They traded for him while he was in his fourth year. So they got that fourth year and then the fifth year option year. And then they were able to re-sign him. Same thing with Jamal Adams with the Jets. That's why he's squabbling over his money right now, is because they traded for him. He's got like 2 more years left on his deal. I think, this year and then the fifth year option year. So he wants his money now. He wants to be paid. And you don't trade for a guy when they're in the final year of their deal. And Tim Settle's just a piece. He's just a body at this point. So if you trade him, you might get a 7th round pick, maybe 6th at the most. But you're not getting anything of note out of Tim Settle in a trade. You're better off just keeping him on your roster and letting him leave in free agency. So there's zero trade value with Tim Settle at this point because he's going into the final year of his rookie contract. So, no, there's really no trade value at all. Martin Matthews. Thank you for the super chat, my guy, Double M. Martin Matthews writes, first of all, greatly appreciate you. He writes, hey, Louie, did you do the 5 declarations yet? No, I haven't gotten to them. I'm not leaving without getting to them. Trust me. Got another one here from Metaphor. 7th super chat of the night from Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor writes, idea, Lou. I don't like where this is going. I bet you're going back to the mustache because you're a troll. Okay, Metaphor, you're a troll. Right? I know you. So I know where this is going. Says, idea, Lou. Snip Ramon and glue him to your upper lip. See, here we go. Soon as Ramon came up, I should have known where this was going. I should have known that it was a mustache joke. I didn't catch on fast enough. But Ramon is where he's supposed to be, and my upper lip hair is where it's supposed to be. It's just a little light. It's there, though. Like I said, y'all gonna leave my mustache alone, okay? I think that's the final super chat of the night, and it is. So what I want to do is take the time out to go over my 5 declarations that I'm making pre-camp. Let me stress this again, pre-camp declarations. So these are subject to change, okay? As we get into training camp and we hear about guys performing, or we hear about guys going down and not being able to perform, or we get into the preseason and we're actually able to lay eyes on guys and they're out there balling, things can change, okay? But here are my 5 declarations, and if you've got some, I'd love to hear them, whether it be on this live form or after this video is done. You go into the comment section and leave them there. But I'd like to hear if you have some pre-camp declarations of your own. That said, here are my 5 declarations as we head into training camp. Number 1, I'm going to start off with a soft toss, easy, knock this one out of the park home run. Okay, we talked about this a million times. This is not new news. This is not a revelation. This is a pretty easy one. But I heard someone talk about Washington only keeping 5 receivers, and I said they don't get it. So I'm going to repeat this. First declaration. Declaration 1. Washington keeps 6 wide receivers on the roster this year. Okay? Simple, easy. That's a no-brainer, I think. But obviously other people out there believe that there's still a chance that they keep 5. I don't see how that's possible with what we have on the roster. I think the number is 6. Declaration number 2. Tight end Ricky Seals-Jones makes the roster. Meaning Samis Reyes, offseason darling, I'm guilty, will be on the practice squad. So let me repeat declaration number 2. Tight end Ricky Seals-Jones makes this roster as TE3, meaning Samis Reyes goes to the practice squad. Declaration number 3. A healthy Sadiq Charles. Let me repeat this again, because the second word of this declaration is the most important. A healthy Sadiq Charles starts at left guard for the Washington football team. Fully healthy throughout all of training camp and the preseason. Okay? So a healthy Sadiq Charles is your starting left guard in week 1 versus the Los Angeles Chargers. That's declaration number 3. Declaration number 4. Peyton Barber staves off Jarrett Patterson to complete the running back room if there are only 3 RBs kept. Let me say that again because a lot of you don't want to hear this one. You're not trying to hear it, and that's fine. Peyton Barber staves off Jarrett Patterson to complete the running back room if they're only keeping 3 RBs. So, of course, Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, and Peyton Barber will be your third back again. Meaning Jarrett Patterson to the practice squad if he isn't swept up by another team off waivers. And finally, declaration 5. The Gandhi Man, Antonio Gandy Golden. Living my life like it's golden. Living my life like it's golden. Living my life like it's golden. AGG will make the 53-man roster. He's been counted out. A lot of you have counted this man out. I've been pretty steady. I'm not gonna lie to you. After listening to wide receiver coach, forgot his name already, but after listening to the wide receivers coach, I waffled a little bit. Got shook to my core because he was so effusive in his praise of Cam Sims. Drew Terrell is the wide receivers coach. He was so effusive in his praise of Cam Sims. I'm like, there's no way Cam Sims isn't making this roster. I was adamant early in the offseason. I'm adamant now. AGG has had a strong camp to this point, or it's not camp, OTAs. And it's OTAs. I'm aware of this. But I think he's poised to make it a run at making his football team. And a second-year guy that was a 4th-round pick. Now, granted, I've heard rumblings and grumblings that he was more of a Kyle Smith guy, was AGG, than a Ron Rivera guy. We'll see. We'll see. But if he's making plays in camp and he's another year comfortable, they drafted him for a reason. Ron still had to okay it. He still had to like some things. Excuse me, with AGG. And I think the guy is super talented. And we talked about, big dogs and guys that can go get it. It's big physical possession receivers. I think AGG is that guy. So those are my 5 pre-camp. Okay? We might have different post-camp, preseason game declarations, but those are my 5 pre-camp declarations. Washington keeps 6 receivers. Tight end Ricky Seals-Jones makes the roster. Sammy's Reyes to the practice squad. A healthy Sadiq Charles starts at left guard. Peyton Barber staves off running back Jarrett Patterson to complete the running back room if they keep 3 backs. Finally, AGG will make the 53-man roster. So, got a few super chats to round out the show. I got some more mustache hate coming from my guy Tony P56. Thank you for the super chat, Tony P. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Tony P writes, never, ever trust a man with a Hitler mustache. I agree. I do not have a Hitler mustache. Somebody said I did. This is when none of this was here. It was just, this was coming in. It was real light. It was a little darker here. I didn't have any of this. Hitler ain't had none of this. All right. None of the beard, none of that extra stuff. He just had this right here. So, I agree. Never, ever trust a man with a Hitler mustache. I don't qualify for that. So, I feel good. Like Stephanie Mills, I feel good all over. Carlton Pagano Jackson. Thank you for the super chat. My guy CPJ. What's really good, CPJ? My guy, Carlton Pagano Jackson writes, what's up, Lou? What's up, CPJ? Just stopping by, big dog. Glad to have you, man. Glad to have you, man. Really do appreciate you stopping by and showing some love. My guy, CPJ. Got another super chat from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. 8th of the night. My guy, Metaphor, writes, I said it in May. Patterson takes McKissick's spot. Ain't happening. I think I do recall you saying that, and I said, you're tripping. You're crazy. Unless there's something unforeseen, and you know what I'm referencing, I'm not going to say it. Unless there's something unforeseen that takes place, if J.D. McKissick is healthy, there is zero chance that he takes, that Patterson takes McKissick's spot. Zero chance. So the only guy's spot that is in jeopardy, if healthy, is Peyton Barber. That is it. Gibson and McKissick are as safe and as big a locks as you have on this roster. You know, you could go ahead and stick those guys in the same category with Scherff and McLaurin and Fitzpatrick. These guys aren't getting cut. McKissick is not getting cut. Period. End of discussion. The man led the team in receptions last year. He's not going to do that this year. Doesn't matter. He was an integral part of our offense last year, and he's still an integral part of the offense. I don't see that happening at all. Jake Hutton, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Jake. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Jake Hutton, writes, Tony P gotta chill. LOL. It's all love, man. He says, thoughts on McKissick and Logan Thomas this offseason. You think both get re-signed or just one? Appreciate all your work, boss. Honestly, I think just one of them gets re-signed. And the one is Logan Thomas. They think the world of him. You've heard what tight ends coach Pete Hainer had to say. He called Logan Thomas a top 7 complete tight end in this league. I don't know about that one, Petey. Sir Petey. But that's how he feels about Logan Thomas. So I think they envision Logan Thomas being here for another, 3-4 years. So remember, Logan Thomas is no spring chicken. He is not a young man. He's not 25 or 26. Logan Thomas is every bit of 29, 30. I'm going to check Logan Thomas's age out. But I'm going to guess that he's either 30 already or he's 29 about to turn 30. He's 30. His birthday is today. Happy birthday, Logan. And you know what? I'm tripping because I saw the post on IG and I liked it. Yeah, today's Logan Thomas's birthday. He is 30 years old today. Happy birthday, Logan Thomas. So he's no spring chicken. That said, he still got 3-4 maybe even 5 or 6 maybe good years left in him because he made the transition to tight end late in the game. So there's not as much wear and tear on his body. You know, he's a quarterback. So there could be a ton of football left in Logan Thomas. But they love him and they want him back. So I think their intention is to re-sign him. McKissick, on the other hand, I don't know how much he would be looking for. If it's a modest deal, they'll bring him back. If it feels like he's worth more than what they are willing to pay him, I could see them saying, yeah, we got Jared Patterson. We're good. Adios. So at the running, that's one of those positions, if you don't have to, you would prefer not to pay guys a ton of money as running back because you can find running backs. But if you have a special one, you got to pay them. Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, you know, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, those types of guys. Alvin Kamara. You got one of those dudes. You don't just, those aren't dime a dozen backs. You don't just find those guys. You get one of those guys, you keep them. But, you know, the rest of the league, you can find another one of those types of guys. So, thank you for the super chat. Jake Hutton, my guy, Huddy. Got another super chat here from Calvin Krim. Thank you for the super chat, Calvin Krim. Greatly appreciate you. Calvin Krim writes, Lou, my crazy declaration is Apke makes the team as a cornerback. It is not far-fetched. I do not think we are overly deep at cornerback. However, I do think there are enough corners on the roster to keep him from making it. That said, it'll be interesting to see if anybody else is eyeballing our stuff, because if he's able to clear waivers, which I assume he'll be able to, especially if he doesn't have a strong preseason. If he does, I could see somebody else taking a flyer on him and continuing to work with him at the cornerback position. But if he doesn't have a strong camp and, you know, preseason, and they want to continue to work with him, I can see him on the practice squad. But making the team over some of the veterans that they have, for me, it's highly unlikely. But that's your declaration. We'll see if it comes to fruition or not. Thank you for the super chat, Calvin Krim. Got another super chat. This one is from my guy, Martin Matthews, double M. Double up, double M, doubling up. Really appreciate you, Martin Matthews, who writes, hey, Louie. What up, Martin? How about this? Place K. Allen, Kyle, quarterback, for those of you not aware, and Collins on the PUP list to keep 4 running backs and 7 wide receivers. So you can't just put healthy guys on the PUP list. If those guys are healthy, they're ready to contribute, you can't just stash them away on the PUP list. That's not how it works. Like, Landon Collins has to have an ankle injury in the 3rd preseason game, and you say, oh, nope, you got an ankle. And Landon's like, I'll be ready for week 1. You're like, no, you don't. PUP list. That's how that works. That's what they did to Cam Sims 2 years ago. You know, Cam Sims had a high ankle sprain that he had in like week 1 or 2 of the preseason, and he could have been ready by like week 2 of the season. Probably wasn't ready for week 1. May have even been able to get ready for week 1. But they said, nah, you're not ready. We're going to put you on IR. They didn't put him on the PUP list. They put him on IR. You're done for the season with a high ankle sprain. Talk about pissed off. I know he had to be. But, you know, Kyle Allen is coming off of ankle surgery. He may not be fully 100% healthy. That could be an option if he's not healthy. But if he's like, nah, I'm good. You can't just stash guys on the PUP list, you know. But both of them are coming off of major surgeries. And if you feel like there's an inkling of those guys not being ready to contribute, you could do that, conceivably. But guess what? Ultimately, when those guys are healthy and ready to come off the PUP list, you're still going to have a decision to make. You're still going to have to cut somebody to make room for those guys. So it's not like you're getting over. The only difference would be if you cut one of those guys, you could then put them on the practice squad. But then, again, they have to clear waivers. And then they'd have to want to be on your practice squad. You're not going to be able to cut Landon Collins or Kyle Allen And first of all, Landon Collins isn't going to come back on your practice squad. He's signing somewhere else as a veteran. And if a guy's on your roster week 1, he's guaranteed his salary, so it doesn't make sense. So, in other words, highly unlikely that takes place unless an injury to one of those guys takes place in camp or the preseason. But I think both of those guys will be healthy enough to go. Collins is intriguing. We don't really know what Landon Collins will be come, start of camp and into the preseason. So he's still intriguing. Kyle Allen has told us he's not 100% yet, but he's still got more time, and he's the third string quarterback. So, if they wanted to pup list him, they could. But you don't want to do that with a quarterback because you could have 2 injuries the first 4 weeks of the season and you're screwed. You can't get a guy off the pup list until week 6. What do you do then? You're going to put Steven Montez in the game? Like, you don't want to put yourself in that position. All it takes is 2 plays, and you're on your third string quarterback. So, I don't think that's the route to go. I don't think they'll do that, but you never, ever know. We'll see. But in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. No more super chats. We've already hit the 3-hour mark, so I'm going to get out of here and allow you guys to get back to whatever it was you were doing before I interrupted. I really do appreciate y'all chopping it up with me for as long as you have. If you haven't already done so, please do me a huge solid and hit the like button. Subscribe to the LouieTeeNetwork for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And hit the like button. Let's get to 150, 155 on the way out. You guys have done a pretty good job. It's at 143 likes. Just south of 200 of you out there watching. So you've done a pretty good job, but we can do better. So hit the like button if you haven't already done so. I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hail to our beloved Washington football team. I appreciate you guys. Next week's going to be maybe a little bit different of a schedule. We'll see. July's going to be helter-skelter. I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. I'm going out of town multiple times this month. This is the last month to get any R&R before the season gets kicked off, because once we get essentially back to training camp and into the preseason, it starts all over again. And it doesn't end until really May after the draft. So for all intents and purposes, this is the last opportunity to relax. So it's the calm before the storm. So schedule may be a little funky all over the place, but trust and believe you'll still get content out of me, whether it's live or not. You'll still get content from me either way. That said, get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louie T. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Mob Squad, stand up. We in the building. I leave you with this. Get your merch if you haven't already got yours. Link in the description. Peace.